Coffee, water options, healthy food options, and vending technologies. Host Coffee, serving you since 72. Be a part of the Host Coffee team today. If you'd like to work for a trusted and loyal family-owned company that understands the needs of working families, Host Coffee has your opportunity. Apply at hostcoffee.net.
Nick Handley here from my friends at DJ's Dugout. If you're like me, you love March basketball. DJ's is the place to watch all of the exciting tournament games. DJ's has all the feeds to watch all the big tournament games on huge media walls at the same time. And cheer for Creighton with a Blue Jay lemonade, of course, plus great daily food and drink specials. DJ's Dugout is locally and Vietnam veteran-owned. 7 metro locations. Dig in at the Dugout.
Omaha Maverick baseball and softball seasons are underway. Don't miss a pitch or a run scored. Single game tickets are available now. Come out and support your Mavs. Get your tickets by calling 402-554-MAVS or by going to omavs.com/tickets.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no per-ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone.
Crossover. Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover. It just crossed him over. Danced to another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
Hey, where's the button?
Time for the crossover.
Hey.
Sorry, I'm not. Josh kicked me over here.
Well, Jack is in Lincoln.
It's the whole thing. And Jack's in Lincoln. Hi, Jack.
Hello. How are you?
Excellent.
Good.
Do the Royals podcast.
You want to watch a 4-hour baseball game?
Yeah, I would watch that whole baseball game again. In fact, I did watch it all during COVID once.
The whole game?
I watched the whole game.
By the way, when I was looking at that earlier, when you tweeted at me, Jack, I found a 5-hour version of that.
The game was 4 hours and 45 minutes long.
Okay, so this must have a little pre and post.
The 3-hour, 45-minute long version that you found on YouTube
cuts out the commercials.
Yeah, it cuts out too long. Yeah, too much.
Wow. Jack, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know.
That's a lot of time.
Could we? I mean, I'd like to watch just the good parts.
I did find a highlight of it that was like a half hour long.
I think you want to. I think you want to go through the bad parts to make it be excruciating, and then the good parts are better
because it builds up to it.
It does raise an interesting question when your team wins a significant game, whatever your team is in whatever sport. How quick do you rewatch it, and then how often do you rewatch it when it is the best possible game?
Okay. I have 2 bright, shining examples of this. This game, which I talk about probably every other week, and
you love this game.
This has been 8 years now.
Yeah.
8.5 years since this game has happened. I still talk about it, several times a year.
Mm-hmm.
And the other game that I will go back and watch highlights of pretty routinely would be the Creighton Villanova Rogge game.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Interesting.
And I just laugh. I just laugh hysterically.
You know, the one that I rewatched the fastest was I was at the 2010 Nebraska-Kansas State game on a Thursday. We drove back that night.
Yeah.
And I watched it. I was watching it on a replay on ESPN that night as like at 2 a.m.
I've watched that a couple times since.
Yeah. I don't really rewatch games anymore. I rewatch highlights though a lot. Like usually if Dallas has a fun win, I love rewatching the highlights of the game because the NFL puts up like a 15-minute compilation like right away.
I love that.
It's nice. Yeah, it's really good.
So I rewatched all of Nebraska Creighton that night after the game was over.
Like this year?
Yeah, this year. This year, I watched the Nebraska-Wisconsin about an hour after the Nebraska-Wisconsin game ended. I started it when Nebraska was down 17 or 18 and watched from that point.
Nice.
And then with Nebraska football wins, I will tape the Big Ten in 60 version that they have.
Yeah, that's good.
I'll watch that almost all the time if I think of it. But yeah, but I don't. There aren't too many games. I mean, I can count on one hand the amount of games that I've watched 5+ times in my life, and that's probably the Nebraska Miami Orange Bowl, the 95 Orange Bowl, which I call the 94 Orange
I've bullied Jack into calling the bowl games by their correct years. I'm very proud of myself.
I've seen that. You can go through and say the movie that you've watched in your life. That is absolutely the sporting event I've watched the most times in my life.
What's the sporting event you've watched the most in your life?
I bet that one is triple the next one.
Yeah. Wow. Because for me, I think the answer is the 97 Missouri game. I think that's the game
It's definitely a Nebraska football game.
Yeah.
But I don't recall really any single sporting event that I've seen probably more than 3 times. I
really
in full?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Or like 75% of it.
I guess that would probably be the wild card game.
Okay.
The
A's game.
Yeah.
I would say I watched that Nebraska Miami game. I bet I've watched it 25 times in my life.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
I probably watched it about a dozen times.
20, maybe that's high. Maybe that's on the high end. But there are movies that, okay, how many times have you seen your favorite movie? The movie that you've watched the most? More than that.
Upwards of 15 to 20, yeah.
Think so?
Yeah, for me, Shawshank's my favorite movie. I probably watched it at least 20 times.
Yeah.
Man,
20 times.
I gotta imagine I've seen Tommy Boy 50 times.
Yeah, I've seen Dumb and Dumber probably 25 to 30 times.
So that I this is such a me thing to say. I keep track of movies that I watch, and Odson does this now too.
Well, this is good. I want
awesome.
this.
It's called Letterbox, and I've been keeping track of movies since 2020. I don't know why I downloaded it that year. A lot happened in 2020. There's a movie. Oh, here it is. I know now the number of times. Palm Springs, which came out that year on Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
Great movie. I've watched that 13 times since 2020.
Oh my God.
I love that movie.
Has that been on
Okay,
Movie Club?
so I've seen Dumb and Dumber 100 times.
Wow.
I mean, just based off of that.
Yeah. I love Palm Springs. I love Palm Springs. I highly recommend it.
I think the movie I've watched the most, just because I was like 10 or whatever, Talladega Nights. I got that on DVD for Christmas.
Nice.
That's all I watched for about a month.
Nice.
Yeah. I gotta say, and then Office Space has got to be 2.
Office Space.
Tommy Boy 1, Office Space 2 for my most free, where you can anticipate the lines, right? Where you can completely anticipate like 80% of the lines. That's when you get to that level.
You can lay in bed, close your eyes, and just play the whole movie back from memory.
Right.
Are you the reason that John is triggered by Office Space?
He and I, we had an ongoing argument for years, and then he finally watched it. Was it just last year? And he
rewatched it again. Yeah, we did it for the movie club.
Yeah,
he was like, I want to see if it's as bad as I remembered. Because Office Space to him got built up to be like this incredible movie, and he was like, "It's fine."
That's such a bad take.
It's a horrible opinion.
I watched it just with my 18-year-old son within the last couple of months, and he gave it a good review.
He hasn't even worked in an
true.
office.
Is that even true?
What?
That Office Space got built up to be this
For
big.
John, it did.
For like my
generation.
When it just came out, like my generation, we quoted it constantly. I mean, like all of the time. And so I think that probably is what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the movie that got quoted to me a lot, and I hadn't seen it yet, and then I watched it and I still loved it, was Borat. Like I had.
Oh, really?
No kidding.
Yeah.
You quote that?
Yeah. I quote it every now and then, but people were quoting it all the time in high school. I didn't see it until it came out on DVD. And I mean, so I knew a lot of the stuff that was coming because people talked about it so much. Still slayed me. Absolutely.
I've seen
King of the Castle.
I've seen it once and I quote it still. USA.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's so funny.
Josh, it's so funny. The guy who quotes it, Dave.
My wife.
Yeah,
I should watch Borat at some point.
Yes, Nick, it's a great movie.
Oh, Nick, you should watch Borat for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm sure John does this too, but whenever I work with Josh, which I do, quite a bit, I will start to reference my spouse, and I'll try and think of ways to do it that does not allow him to do that, either by using her first name or
Do you really do this so I don't say my wife?
Yeah, just trying to play games with you.
I'm bringing it back though. Ooh,
you are.
Yeah,
I'm
bringing it back.
Finally. Thank goodness someone's doing it.
I'm here for you. Otson says Nick would absolutely hate Borat.
Yeah, Nick, you would not.
Yeah, he doesn't have
it.
a very good sense of humor.
You would not get it.
I wouldn't get Borat.
Well, you'd just be like, this isn't funny.
Yeah, I just don't think you would think that most of the things are funny.
Yeah.
mean, I like Talladega Nights. That's not a very
Not
good
comparable.
movie.
Not
yeah,
comparable.
different.
Way different.
I like Sacha Baron Cohen.
Okay.
Well, maybe you should pick that for the
Maybe.
movie club. We did the second one once. Not very good.
Oh, wasn't it?
Not even the Rudy scene.
I mean, that
didn't
was
mind it.
but I had seen that already on the internet.
Honestly, all I want to see it for is his dialogue, though. I mean, like the super awkward situations obviously have their own draw, but the
Mhm.
number one draw is his dialogue and the
Him
phrase.
just
Borat?
saying
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just USND. I mean, those that
Story
is
about the
funnier than
iPod.
that's funnier than anything to me.
Yeah. I mean, there's the scene on the bus with the college bros, and they're
God, I don't remember anything that happened in that movie.
so he's on the. I don't want to spoil it just in case Nick chooses it, but
We're talking about Borat 2 now, right?
oh,
Are you talking about Borat 1?
oh, my bad. I thought we were talking about Borat 1.
Oh, what happens on
Oh.
the bus?
In Borat 1,
Yeah.
with the college bros, and they start saying a bunch of stuff that,
Oh,
and then like they got fired from jobs and stuff.
okay. Yeah, no,
Not
I do
great.
remember that now.
Not great. Matthew says, "What about Napoleon Dynamite? That's so stupid. I had to watch it twice."
Yeah.
Dude,
That's my
generation
number 3.
Loved
That's my
Napoleon
number
Dynamite.
3.
Oh, really?
I
that'd
was
be
always
my number
weirded
3.
out- I was always weirded out by how much our generation, Josh, watched Napoleon and loved and quoted Napoleon Dynamite.
Were you not a fan?
It was on TV like last week.
Really?
And I was like, I'm gonna watch this for a few minutes and see
How'd it
what
go?
happens. It was kind of still funny.
Yeah, man. I
It
loved
was,
it.
it was
It
kinda
holds
still
up.
funny.
Yeah,
It was so
absolutely.
stupid.
Absolutely. That's definitely my number 3. That
Taller
absolutely.
than mountains.
I never would have thought that would have held up. I would have
Yeah?
thought I would have thought, now this is a thing that's good for these 10 seconds in time,
Yeah.
and then it's just over. No.
What about
Napoleon
like
Dynamite.
Superbad or Anchorman? Or those movies that you guys have watched many
Super
times?
bad? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Superbad is
Anchorman way less. But
perfect movie
Fewer-
for our age.
Yeah,
Like-
fewer, but yeah, Superbad is kind of the, there were all those 90s comedies, and Superbad kind of became that for you guys' generation a little bit more.
Yeah.
Even
Came
I
out
have
the
seen
summer
it
after I
multiple times.
graduated from high school. I mean, it was perfect.
that
Perfect.
is perfect.
Absolutely perfect timing for a movie like that.
But again, we went on, the Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, Tommy Boy,
Those
Austin
are-
Powers run. I mean, there was like a 4-year period where there were just like super rewatchable comedies that definitely didn't get critical acclaim, but everyone had seen. It was the monoculture when we had all
Yeah.
seen the same thing.
Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore are good picks for movies that I have seen like way too
Definitely.
Because we had, for a while, we had this huge van that had a TV in it. And so like when we would go on long trips, we would just throw a VHS in and we'd watch a movie.
You know
I've
what that
seen
movie
Happy
is?
Gilmore a billion.
You know
And
what
it
that
was
movie
like
is for
that.
me? We would go on really long road trips too, go visit family on the East Coast, and we had the van with the big,
Yep.
with the DVD player.
Yep.
So one summer we took the longest road trip ever, and I must have watched Mr. Deeds 60 times.
Also a good movie.
Mr. Deeds.
I have seen Mr. Deeds more than any person has seen Mr. Deeds.
Uh,
I can confirm that.
That
Connor,
foot-
like 2 months ago, I'm with my dog in the dog park listening to you and Josh talk about Mr. Deeds, and I'm like, that's a random Adam Sandler movie to be that familiar with. And I remember thinking that when you were talking about it, and now I know why.
I've seen Mr. Deed so many times too.
It's burned into my brain.
How do you feel about it now, like compared to the other?
I don't
to,
think
like,
I've
the
seen
classics?
it. I don't think I've seen it in many years now, but I imagine it would come back to me pretty quickly.
Dude, for a while, I had season tickets to Adam Sandler. Like any movie that came out, I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go see that new Adam Sandler movie. And then I think the last one that I liked was, or I didn't like it. Click. I was like, I'm out. I think I'm out on
I
Adam
was
Sandler.
very
Yeah,
sad.
I didn't, and the Zohan, like there were
You
bad
didn't see
ones.
that one. Yeah, and by that point, I was done.
His movies started doing like this
sold your tickets.
heartfelt edge to it, and then it just kind of ruined it.
I did like
Yeah.
Uncut Gems though. That was great.
Yeah, that was good. I've seen that.
I was just okay with that movie.
Oh, just okay.
Oh,
It was just okay.
It was
Oh,
good.
wow.
He was
Mr.
good in it.
Mr. Deeds left such an impact on my brain that I still call what's his face Crazy Eyes instead of using his actual
Steve
name.
Buscemi?
Steve
Yeah,
Buscemi.
I never
Guys,
remember
French
Steve
fries
Buscemi's
and
name.
Oreos.
I just call him Crazy Eyes.
That's the punter from Nebraska, Steve Buscemi.
I don't think I've seen that movie. I don't think I've seen Mr. Deeds.
Whoa,
Oh, it's great.
You would actually like Mr. Deeds.
It's-
I think you would.
It's definitely more heartfelt than like some of the ones that had come before that. Because what was Big Daddy had come out?
Yeah.
God,
Yeah,
Big
that
Daddy.
I've seen
There's,
lots.
there's a
Yeah.
love story in
I
here.
wipe my own
Yeah,
eyes.
yeah. Big Daddy or Mr. Deeds, he was a much nicer person, and it was kind of the peripheral characters that were like the jerks.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the whole bit of the movie. Like he
Yeah.
was supposed to be a mean guy in the position that he was in, but he was just overly nice to
Yeah.
everybody.
And that was Tatura, right?
Longfellow
very,
Deeds.
very
Mhm.
sneaky. Very,
Okay.
very sneaky.
But here's the question, and this is like this whole all these podcasts I listen to, they talk about the monoculture and how it doesn't exist anymore. Like there's so many choices in the world that we don't all see the same thing anymore. Does that exist for a movie and a generation anymore where I reference a movie that recently came out in a group of my friends, especially if I'm younger, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking." I mean, it's more like I'm sound so old when I say this, but it's more like a TikTok trend or something that people would reference than a movie.
I definitely not lines from a movie. No. Yeah.
Movie wise, I'm not sure, but I have monoculture does still exist for the young. Like my little brother, he's 10. He and his friends, as stupid as it's gonna sound, it's Fortnite and Roblox. Those are the two things. Every 10-year-old.
That's true. That's true.
God, that's so
every 10-year-old knows everything about Fortnite and everything about Roblox. My little brother had his friend over for his birthday. They were playing Fortnite.
What's the other one?
Pretend.
Minecraft.
What is Roblox?
Roblox.
My daughter does that one. Yeah. It's like Minecraft.
Monoculture is a video game.
I'm pretty sure Roblox is for like 4-year-olds, isn't it?
No, it's not.
It's more like tweens. It's more like my daughter's 12 and she has been into it the last couple of years.
Which is weird because Roblox was a thing when I was like 12, but it didn't get popular until a few years ago.
It got really big a couple of years ago. And then
for the youngs.
No, Minecraft is really a thing for kids. Like they still play it, but it's not a thing. Like when I was like 13, 14, Minecraft is huge because it was new.
So there's like in your friend group or whatever, in your generation, there's like people are making Fortnite references.
Not my generation. Like my little brother.
Generation below you.
Well, yeah. There was a time my son was
they play Fortnite offline. Like they'll have their Nerf guns and it'll be like, all right, it's like we're dropping here. Like just around the house, and it's like, all right, I'll get the slurp juice or whatever. It's like, I don't. What are you doing?
Yeah, that's true. Like 4 years ago, when it hit its peak, that hit my son right in the target demographic at that point. And they had these dances that you do on Fortnite when you knock somebody out, and they would all. I mean, that's all they would do. They would do them. So there is a generational monoculture, but it's not with movies. I don't think.
Definitely not with movies.
My generation is Vines. We all quoted Vines all the time.
And
like road work ahead. I sure hope it does. Anybody around my age, you could just quote a Vine to, and we all kind of get it.
Yeah, no, I was kind of in that too.
Yeah,
I'm between you guys.
R.I.P. Vine.
I miss Vine. Yeah. Vine was cool.
That's why I'm on TikTok now. You're too old for TikTok.
I didn't appreciate Vine.
You would like TikTok.
No. It's a time suck.
It totally is.
I think I would, but I don't want to send all my information directly to China.
They already
send straight to Xi.
They can come find me.
Jacob says closest thing to monoculture might be whatever show is on HBO on Sunday nights.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier.
Within my
I'm out.
I know, and Jack's out on this stuff, which sucks. TV's so good on Sunday nights, man. There's some great shows on Sunday nights. Succession's coming back. Bishop is even watching Succession. He's getting caught up.
I don't have that subscription.
Betty, you don't have HBO.
Super nice guy.
Jack, it's $15. You can do it. $15.
It's funny.
It's BTN Plus.
I know. I have bought so many dumb subscriptions. I got one to watch like
Fubo or Fobo.
Jack's on the cutting edge of the monoculture of BTN Plus.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Jack. And like for some reason, because HBO seemed like such when I was growing up, like one or two of my friends had it, and that seemed like such like a big exclusive deal for them to have it. Or when you went to a hotel,
HBO,
or when you went to a hotel, and like I still feel that way, even though it's the same price as Netflix. I don't know what it is. I don't know, and I got too many. And
what do you have? What are the streaming services you have? Because let's get rid of one and put HBO on its spot.
I got Netflix.
You probably have that for the kids, right?
What,
you need it
Netflix?
For the kids. Yeah, because I'd say get rid of Netflix.
All of us.
All right. No, I think kind of sucks now, but
what?
Because all the stuff moved to their original homes.
Netflix always finds a way to suck me back in.
Like
I'll get ready to cancel it, and then there's one thing that kind of
now. Here's the issue, though.
For the next season,
I watch. If I'm watching something quickly, I'll have a few shows I'm into, but otherwise I'll go straight documentaries for the most part. I'm always doing documentaries. So I have Netflix. I've got Amazon Prime.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But
Sure.
I would have that. I have that for the free shipping more than I do probably the video. We have Apple Plus, we have Disney Plus.
Same.
I got ESPN Plus when I got a Bud Crawford fight, and I think I forgot to cancel it because I know I was watching.
Not have HBO.
What's
HBO
that?
Max. You could cancel ESPN Plus and get HBO.
Well, ESPN's like $6 a month.
No, it's close to 10 now.
No, ESPN Plus is great during baseball regional time.
I'm going to sound like an old Playboy subscriber, but I like ESPN Plus for the articles. I read Bill Connolly.
Same,
and
actually.
All the baseball information whenever I want to read that from Mike Theron's interviews, etc.
I got BTN Plus. I do have BTN Plus.
You can drop that, right?
BT, yeah. How much is that garbage?
Absolutely get rid of BTN Plus. Check.
I got to watch Nebraska beat Vanderbilt on Friday. What are you
And
talking
now
about?
it's over. Now all their games are on TV.
Wait, the
right?
Vandy game was on BTN
It was.
Plus?
It was. Could you imagine, by the way,
What?
all the SEC fans who bought BTN Plus for the weekend?
Oh, triggered.
So Ole Miss, Jack, did you see this? The Ole Miss Twitter account was like ripping BTN Plus because a couple of their highlights, you couldn't like see what was happening, and it made reference to that in the tweet. All the SEC fans were so triggered at the BTN Plus.
Awesome.
The Friday game against Vanderbilt, maybe some of your listeners watched it too. It was like they had the contrast wrong on the TV. And in Minnesota, the sun comes in up on the top, and it looked like they were playing on the surface of a green sun. It was impossible to see anything on that whole thing. But again, going back to this, all of the home baseball games are on that. So and all of the Big Ten games are on that. So if I want to follow Nebraska baseball, which I do, that's it didn't used to be a must-have, but it is now. It has become a must-have for the last 2 years for a little basketball. I've got members of my household who really like volleyball. That's a big one. And then for women's basketball too. You got a lot of BTN Plus. There's way more games on it now. I still see what you're saying, and I agree what you're saying about.
Jack, you're right. Nebraska's next 10 games are all on BTN.
There's one this afternoon. I might turn it on.
Don't do that. It might mess with your Wi-Fi. We don't want you to be
my Wi-Fi.
My Wi-Fi.
And you get to be, Jack, on the cutting edge of the newest and best broadcasters at the University of Nebraska.
That's true.
Hey,
I did guys back in the day.
I know a few kids who done it, and I do that to listen to some of the college kids that I know there. So that's awesome.
Nice. There you go. Do you have any other streaming services? Do you have Hulu?
I have Let's just say I have access to a Hulu account.
Hell yeah. See, don't you know someone who could just give you an HBO login?
Oh, I could do that. I could give you mine if you want.
Yeah, we should just.
I already gave mine to Mark.
Yeah, our boss.
No, Mark in Lincoln.
Oh,
former boss. Mark.
I know that Mark.
Yeah. And I thought you meant our boss.
Yeah, I was like, that's pretty wild.
And Happer, I have access to Bally Sports as well.
Yeah, do I have access to Bally Sports anymore?
Probably not.
You guys could do a swap.
Wait, do we not have Channel 47 anymore?
HBO for Bally.
I have cable. I think I still have it.
If you have cable, you're probably okay then. But I have YouTube TV. And so I myself do not have access to Bally Sports.
It doesn't look very good. The signal for this TV channel is temporarily unavailable, and it just keeps popping.
It's a bad channel.
All right, cool. Good job, Bally.
So that's it. So am I getting I think that's all of them.
Well, if you're not going to get rid of BTN Plus, then,
No, I wouldn't get
well, then
I would not. Right, maybe in the summer. Maybe I do it for the summer. I get it all in then, and then pick it back up in the fall, and I watch all my HBO from the end of the College World Series at the end of the regular season up until the beginning of football and volleyball season.
Is there any, do you buy coffee a few times a week? You could just be like, no coffee for me for a few times a week.
Stop eating avocado toast.
Yeah,
Jack.
just you find those random, $15 worth for a few weeks, and you're just like, I'm going to cancel this.
Sell my house. Yeah, those kind of things.
No, you get HBO if you sell your house. What about when your son moves out because he's going to college? That's going to be worth at least $15.
Yeah, I don't know. Do kids take their family's accounts with them when they go to college? I don't know how that works. I don't know how any of this stuff works.
A lot of people I knew in college are just like, oh yeah, it's my parents' account.
Oh yeah, for sure. I still log in on my parents'
I wouldn't pay for that in college. Are you kidding?
I wouldn't pay for that.
Yeah.
Isn't Netflix cracking down? They keep saying they're going to, but I don't
know.
They
were going to, and then it was stupid, and then they walked back.
They've been saying that for years until I try to watch Netflix.
They actually did it for a couple days.
Oh, really?
And then people got so triggered, and then
then they undid it
because of college students They're like, I can't afford to do this.
Yeah, I'll pretend to be a guy because I wouldn't have liked that either. I mean, I think my parents. That's the only thing I have with my parents. Netflix.
Yeah.
Everything else.
Same. Yeah, I pay for everything else.
Netflix. It's just by.
Now I do have somebody else's login for Hulu, but otherwise, yeah.
And I have Spotify. That's audio, but I have Spotify too. So
you need that.
Yeah.
I get a cheaper plan.
I don't listen to music.
You know what, Nick? I just added for Christmas a gift for the whole family was doing the family plan for Spotify because in a 4-person family where everyone uses it, the single plan is not it just doesn't work for us whatsoever, especially with the wild variety of music the 4 of us listen to. With something my son's listening to accidentally pops up when you don't want it to. That's not a good thing in a lot of cases. But the problem is Spotify is based all these things. They have all these great personalized playlists, and now they have an AI DJ that's all based on your listening habits. But my whole family has corrupted my history, and so they think I'm the weirdest person in the world with my listening habits.
Just create the separate accounts within the one account.
That's what you have to pay extra to do that. We just did that starting in Christmas.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was it was cheaper. I was saving to get HBO Max, but not anymore.
I was listening to Hot Fuss the other day. What a great album by the Killers. By the Killers?
I know about the Killers.
2004, their first album.
Oh, I know about the Killers.
Jenny was a friend of mine.
I got soul, but I'm not a soldier.
By the way, before the crossover ends, Shangping Appreciation Club says BTN Plus is fantastic. Nowhere else can you find a 2010 cell phone quality video mixed with commentary from an 18-year-old kid that hasn't completed his gen eds. It's bonkers how much we have to spend on that for that product. I'm happy that
How much is it, Jack? How much
is it? $20 a month, isn't it?
No, it's not 20. I wouldn't. No, it's like $12.99. I think.
Still,
I want to say $12.99.
Let's see. BTN Plus. Subscribe.
But I used it in the last month probably more than almost any of those other ones.
Yeah.
Maybe with the exception of Netflix.
Devastated. I am devastated.
They're celebrating right in front of me.
God, so funny.
I'm devastated. They're celebrating right in front of me.
God.
Oh my gosh. Jack, you have the school pass, or do you have everything?
No, I just got just for Nebraska.
All right. So
my God, if you had everything.
So it's okay. It's $9.95 a month or $79.95 a year. All right, that's cheaper than I expected.
All right,
that's a little cheaper than HBO.
I think they made that go down because
it used to be more.
That's about what I spend every year for F1 TV.
How much is that?
$75 to $80 a year.
Would you like to make a trade?
No.
You want to get into BTN Plus instead?
No.
I'm sure it wouldn't be good for their financial model, but the ultimate way to do that would be to put individual games up for purchase, just like, pay-per-view, but like $3.99 or something for that.
Well, I know there's one of the newspapers, I think on the West Coast, that now if you want to read an article, you can just buy the article or a day pass on their newspaper website. It's like $1.
Yeah,
it's like that's a great cool. I'll spend $1.
Buy the article for $1.
Yeah, no, that's expensive. But maybe you buy a day pass for $1.
Yeah, but are you really going back to the same website for?
But that's the thing. Like you remember, sometimes you'll see a link for a story and like, oh, this sounds interesting, and it's like you have to get a subscription. I'm not getting a subscription to a newspaper.
No, I just forget that the article.
A $1 day pass is a good idea.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like Thank you, Nick.
It's so funny, Connor. You talked about this once. Like we're like seeing the future of what these things are, and you're like TV's evolving, and you're like, oh, this is cable TV. This is what we started with. Like, oh, we're just going to buying an individual newspaper at this point.
Yeah,
it's the exact same thing.
Yep, exactly. I'm, I can tell the future.
And now I have cable again, and the cable's not working in here. This is great.
Yeah, we had this box pinged the other day, whatever that means.
Oh, okay. Well,
might have to have that again.
All right.
No, we're not. We took so long. We have no time for the World Baseball Classic analysis that I wanted to get into with Connor.
Bobby Witt Jr., Team USA. Brady Singer's on there too.
Oh man, that's stuff.
I recognize that name.
Have you been following Vinny Pasquantino's vlogs from Taiwan, Jack?
No, I haven't.
He's on Team Italy and he's vlogging from Taiwan.
It's so hilarious. Some of these rosters, like Italy and like a few years ago, like Israel did really well, and like They're very creative with the associations with some of the countries.
Well, the Italy lineup looks like a bunch of Italians, but then also Nicky Lopez is on there.
I know, I saw that. What is that?
Bunch of Italians and Nicky Lopez.
Like a lot of Vinnies, and there's just a lot of that.
Nicky Lopez is from Chicago, went to college in Omaha, has the last name Lopez. I'm missing the Italian connection.
He came on the show and explained it. Apparently, he is like, his parents are Italian, or his dad is Italian. His last name just happens to be Lopez. I don't know how that happened.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
Spanish family at some point.
I guess I have no idea, but he qualifies. Apparently,
Go Italy.
Go Italy.
Go Italy.
All right. Well, that's the World Baseball Classic.
All right, there you go.
analysis.
That's baseball talk for today.
Baseball.
Happer, good to see you.
Great to see you.
That was a very fun discussion.
Oh yeah.
I don't even remember where it started, but it was fun.
Borat.
No, there was
It started with rewatching games, rewatching the Royals.
Rewatching
I did
movies,
put out a
rewatching
question, by
games.
the way. If anyone wants to respond on Twitter, what is the singular sporting event that you have watched the most times in your
F1
life?
Hungary 2021 That race.
Oh my god.
No, I'll be interested. I'll be interested to see how people interact with that. That'll be what they have for answers on that one.
Early on, the 1998 NBA Finals Game 6 has showed up a couple of times. Michael Jordan. Oh, that's a good one.
Oh,
that's a good one. So we'll keep tabs on that throughout the day to day. Bye, Hap.
Oh, see you later.
All right. Jack Mitchell is in. We are way past time for a break. We'll take one, set the show up when we return here on 1620 The Zone.
Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Another cloudy and cool day ahead for Tuesday. Breezy at times with east winds gusting 10 to 20 miles per hour. Highs in the low to mid 40s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct, brought to you by a great friend of the program, Union Bank and Trust.
Experience the Woodhouse difference at Woodhouse Chevy in Missouri Valley. Make every day a getaway in the 2023 Chevy Equinox. Whether hauling the family or supplies, the Equinox is built for both, with folding split bench seats and rear cargo hidden storage. Standard Chevy Safety Assist keeps you confident on the road, and switchable all-wheel drive allows you to adjust to changing driving conditions. Shop Woodhouse and see the 2023 Chevy Equinox at Woodhouse Chevy, exit 75 off I-29 Missouri Valley, or woodhousegm.com. Chevy, find new roads.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things, because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel V Pro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Start your engines.
Joe's Indoor Karting in Council Bluffs is off the charts crazy. Joe's Karting is fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing action at over 40 miles per hour. The only speed restriction on these karts is how good you are. Joe's Karting is located just a couple of blocks north of Bass Pro Shop and directly east of AMC Theater in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Go watch a movie. Come race at Joe's. Planning a bachelor party, graduation party, or just a night out with friends? Go to Joe's. Remember, Joe's Karting is your place to race.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Your Omaha Maverick hockey team welcomes North Dakota to Baxter Arena for the opening round of the NCHC Conference Tourney this weekend. Pregame is at 6:45 Friday. Puck drops at 7:07. It's UNO versus North Dakota on your home for Maverick hockey. News Talk 1290 Coil. Your Omaha Maverick hockey team welcomes North Dakota to Baxter Arena for the opening round of the NCHC Conference Tourney this weekend. Pregame is at 6:45 Friday. Puck drops at 7:07. It's UNO versus North Dakota on your home for Maverick hockey. News Talk 1290 Coil.
This edition of Unsportsmanlike Conduct on 1620 The Zone is proudly presented by Union Bank and Trust. The program starts now.
KOCN. Unsportsmanlike conduct on 1620 The Zone. Husker Athletics, Creighton, and yes, UNO. Don't miss a moment, they'll give you your fix. They're on every day from 2 until 6. Spend your afternoons with John, Josh, and Nick. John, Josh, and Nick. They'll show you what sports talk really is.
Coming up on the show today, we got Brunts, we have Max Olson, and we have Jack Mitchell, who is here. Hi, Jack.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It should be a lovely time. We'll talk about sports and all sorts of stuff.
Unsportsmanlike conduct on 1620 The Zone. Husker Athletics, Creighton, and yes, UNO.
Well, welcome in, everybody, on this Tuesday, March the 7th. Josh Peterson, Jack Mitchell from our sister station, 1400 KLIN with you. Nick Grimm producing. It is Unsportsmanlike Conduct on 1620 The Zone. Brunts coming up in the 3 o'clock hour. Max Olson in the 4 o'clock hour. That is the lineup powered by the Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. I don't know, Jack, if we'll talk too much baseball because Mark writes into the Equitable Bank inbox. Please don't talk about the Royals. I love baseball, but Connor's constant Royals BS makes me want to put a bullet in my head. Ugh.
Same. It's terrible.
Jack hates talking about the Royals. He doesn't have a
I wish
separate
Connor
story.
would shut up sometimes.
Dude, I get in my car and I'm like, time to go to the station. I turn on the radio and it's like, Connor's talking about a second baseman. Again.
Yep.
Like, that's some baseball for us.
Switching channels. I'm switching channels, and I'm going to email and let you know I'm doing it.
Yeah, but Mark, we appreciate you. Please do stay with us as we do not talk Royals.
Yeah, I won't say a word about it.
Yeah, I love having Jack Mitchell in because, I mean, for a variety of reasons, but one is I feel like you and I are kindred spirits when it comes to discussing weather and how triggered we are at this time of year when we look at the long-term forecast and it's like, are you serious? It's in the 30s again? I get mad.
I get mad too. I have a routine I do every day, Josh, now where first thing I do, my phone has begun like I get up at 4:45 in the morning. It sends me a thing like, do you want to check the weather right now? Because I do it. It's so used to me doing that. And then the next thing I do when I get to work is one of the first things I look up is the 8 to 14 day outlook. You just type that in. And I am obsessed with it getting nicer outside.
Yes.
So no baseball, but we'll talk weather.
I feel like this is our time of years right now where we are looking at the long range forecasts. I know, people get all mad about the time change because it ruins their sleep. I don't care. I'm sorry. I'm ready for longer days. I'm ready for sunlight at night. And I'm looking and I see some 50-degree days coming up, 52-degree days. And I'm just like, get me to that sweet, sweet world where it's 60 degrees plus.
70.
Now we're talking.
I'd
be okay with 60 degrees for like 3 days in a row right now. I don't even need 70.
That's fine, but you should be getting 70-degree days in March. There's no question. But this is the perfect year. I don't know when the schools around you guys have spring break, but this is the best year if you're going out of town during spring break to do it because, like, if it's this Friday, you get out of here. By the time you get back, the end of next week, it's supposed to start feeling kind of like spring again. And so you just say goodbye to this last crappy week.
Yeah, did the weather people lie to us? It's not as bad, dangerous last words, but it's not as bad as they said it was going to be so far.
Josh.
I see, Josh, one of my few advantages of not doing a sports show is that I get to bring a weather person on whenever I want to and delve into weather. And I had Dr. Dewey, the retired professor of climatology over at the university, he comes on with me once a month, and he apparently told me the models are changing for next week, and they're getting better. And so whatever crappy week or so of weather, cold, a little bit of snow, they're backing that off. They're making it shorter, and so it looks more like 3 or 4 days instead of a full 7 to 10 days.
Well, that's good. I'm happy to hear that. Hopefully, this is the same for Omaha. Greg in Lincoln says, triggered by spring weather, coached 2 games in 60s on Sunday, coached a 40-degree practice yesterday. Tell me about it.
Spring sports. You spring sports coaches, and Greg coaches lacrosse. Brutal. Soccer, baseball. I feel for you guys. Yeah, it is.
I remember practicing, playing baseball as a kid. And it was like, are we going to have practice day? I don't know. We'll find out. We'll see what the weather is like later on in the day. That said, I loved when baseball practice got canceled because then I didn't have to go to baseball practice.
Yeah.
God, those were the days.
I think soccer parents are the toughest, though. I mean, I feel because they're in the most completely wide open spaces. They're the ones my son only played soccer a very small amount of time, but I would say those were always worse than baseball. For me.
Really?
Yeah.
At
Just
least
the
like
cold
it's a finite amount of time, right? You're not going to watch a 10-run.
That's true.
Baseball
That's
game.
a good point. Baseball games can be 2 hours.
Yeah.
But God, I don't know what it was, but those soccer games, maybe it's because I don't like soccer as much as baseball.
For sure. Yeah. That would certainly affect it. Coming up on the show today, a bunch of different things. Wanted to talk a lot about Nebraska basketball with Jack today. So we'll do that. Of course, the daily Dylan Raiola segment as we all ride the Raiola coaster. What's going on with him? Aaron Rodgers has been in the news. By the way, have you seen this? Have you heard about this, Jack? Lamar Jackson, he got franchise tagged by the Ravens, but it is a non-exclusive tag. So in theory, he could still end up elsewhere, but he has been franchise tagged by the Baltimore Ravens.
A non-exclusive franchise tag. Okay. Yeah. So if he stays with them, he gets the salary that is dictated by the franchise tag, which is the average of whatever it is, the top 5 people at his position. Something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a non-exclusive version of that. Okay.
Yeah, we don't see it that often with a player of his caliber. The Falcons have said they're out. They're out on bidding for him, so I guess they won't be going after him. But we can talk a little bit about Aaron Rodgers. We will do another edition of Who Ya Roo Knit Fur. Mark Furman went down, or they won last night. Mark Furman won last night, so Jack was pumped. That was good news. So we'll talk about that. The weird stuff going on in the state of Iowa and their program, and a whole lot more. 402-951-1620. Give us a call or shoot us a text to that phone number, 402-951-1620. Also find us in the Equitable Bank inbox, Josh at 1620thezone.com, or on Twitter, JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed at USC 1620. We appreciate Jack sitting in today. Michael Bruns is going to join us in a half hour or so. It is Unsportsmanlike Conduct on this Tuesday, 1620 The Zone.
Omaha's most listened to all sports radio station. Again and again and again. 1620 The Zone.
There are 31 days in March, and you can save $31 per month every month at GenesisHealthClubs.com. If you don't get started on your fitness goals today, then when? Tomorrow? Next week? Next month? Next year? Life's too short for that. Genesis Health Clubs is here all month, giving you 31 reasons to get started towards your summer fitness goals now, not later.
Reason number 1.
Abs like to sleep in. You have to start waking them up now if you want them to show themselves in the summer.
Reason number 2.
The safest, most sustainable weight loss is 1 to 2 pounds per week. The earlier you start, the farther you'll go.
Reason number 3.
If it is to be, it is up to me.
Reason number 4.
Results may take time, but you'll get blasted with endorphins and feel better today.
Reason number 5.
Because your health is worth it. 31 days in March, 31 reasons to get started today, and $31 to save every month when you get started at Genesis Health Clubs. Whatever your reason, go to GenesisHealthClubs.com today to get started.
O'Reilly. Need new wiper blades but not sure which ones are right for you? The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts can help. We'll show you options for your vehicle and even install your new wiper blades for free. Right now, save $10 per pair on Bosch Focus wiper blades so you can see better in any weather. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You don't have to wait for the weekend for brunch. Delicious breakfast and lunch items are served daily. Get to Early Bird Brunch today in the Blackstone District, Shadow Lake Town Center, and Regency Landing. Early Bird offers a variety of fun pancakes, eggs, Benedicts, omelets, and beverages, including a full breakfast cocktail menu. Dine in or carry out is available. For more menu info, go to earlybirdbrunch.com. Early Bird Brunch, where the early bird gets the pancake. In a hurry? Try Early Bird Blackstone for takeout.
Listen to the Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jay shoot-around and overtime shows. The Creighton men's basketball pregame and postgame shows on 1620 The Zone. The Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jay shoot-around and overtime shows are also presented by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More, by Barry Law, by Union Bank and Trust, and by DJ's Dugout. Before and after each Creighton game, exclusively on your home for the Creighton Blue Jays. 1620 The Zone, 1620 The Zone mobile app, and 1620thezone.com.
Car repair is car repair. Most places you go can change your oil or fix your brakes. The difference is the experience you'll get at Omaha Car Care. We're part of the community. We were born here, and we believe that our relationship with you should be built to last. We're going to consult you, not sell you. We're going to give you a free loaner car. We're going to treat you like a valued friend that we want to continue to see in the years to come. I'm Rick Betker, owner of Omaha Car Care, and we'll be along for the ride.
Your neighborhood is more than blocks of buildings. It's the people who live there that make it special. At Union Bank and Trust, we're not just creating home loans, we're making neighbors. We're not just small business lenders, we're small business shoppers. We don't just live in your community, we help you build it. Because our people are your people. Visit ubt.com/neighbor to learn more. Union Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
Hey, you got any gum?
Yeah, check my backpack.
What's this?
Oh, that's naloxone. It can reverse an opioid overdose. I decided to always keep it on me after my friend almost died. It saved his life.
I'm so sorry. That makes me want to have it with me too.
You totally should. Check the pharmacy. It was actually really easy to get and it's easy to use.
I definitely will. Thanks.
Paid for by the CDC, sponsored by Nebraska DHHS, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
This is Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
It's a good thing. So if people ain't get on board and shut the hell up.
On 1620 The Zone.
Josh Peterson, Jack Mitchell with you on this Tuesday. It is Unsportsmanlike Conduct on 1620 The Zone. Michael Bruns will join us very shortly. Chattel, in his Tuesday column today, Jack wrote about the Nebraska and Creighton basketball schedules, and he wrote, don't be surprised if both teams' schedules look a lot different next year. And so I was curious, just before I kind of read on, thinking, okay, what is the exact angle here? And the argument he laid out was that if Creighton's schedule was easier, they would be chasing a higher seed right now. If Nebraska's was easier, they might be closer to the NCAA tournament bubble. I guess I was surprised that was the discussion. Mainly, I immediately thought back to the 2017-2018 team that played Kansas in the non-conference in Lincoln, almost beat them. They lost that game. They finished 4th in the conference, but it wasn't enough for them to make the tournament. They went 1 and done in the Big Ten tournament. They lost to Michigan, and they missed out on the dance. Did you think that the non-conference was too tough this year? Like, do you look back at that and say, yeah, I wish that they wouldn't have had team X, Y, or Z. I wish that they would have scheduled easier back in November and December.
I hadn't once thought about that.
Yeah, me neither.
I hadn't one, and if you're a Creighton fan, I bet you thought about that even less.
Yeah, right.
And I read the article too, and he kind of went through some of the games for Nebraska and for Creighton, where he pointed that out about, and just off of memory, he mentioned St. John's,
Yes.
which Nebraska lost. They played that Kansas State game in Kansas City that they lost.
Oklahoma.
And then they were at the tournament where they played Oklahoma and Memphis before they beat Florida State. And he mentioned Creighton, and they mentioned Creighton playing Creighton, which they won.
Yeah.
But of those games, like, okay, you had the Big Ten ACC Challenge, which is ending, and you've got the Gavitt games, which I don't know if the university can say to the conference, you know what, we're going to pass on that this year.
Yeah.
Like, so that's two of them that we're talking about here. And then the other one, so there's the trip to the tournament, and that ESPN events invitational they went to that was in Orlando. I mean, it was Oklahoma, Memphis, and Florida State. It wasn't like
it wasn't Maui, right? For Creighton.
Yeah, it wasn't Maui. 100%.
Yeah.
It wasn't it wasn't Maui. I suppose that Kansas State game, but again, I think you schedule that, and I don't think you know that Kansas State was who Kansas State ended up being this year a little bit. And I think you've got to have some. I think Nebraska's got burned in other years.
That's what I was thinking.
You go back to Tim Miles' second to last year, and they were exactly burned by not having enough stuff outside of the conference that established their resume. And so I don't know. And on the Creighton part of it, I completely understand why they challenged themselves like that. Like, if you get a chance to go to Maui, I can't believe you wouldn't go there to get that kind of competition. I know you're going to get that to some degree in the Big East, but like, I completely understand why Creighton would have wanted to get that competition in Maui at that time when they're confident they're going to make the tournament. And, you know, are you really thinking? I almost think that experience is as valuable as the seeding for the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? The difference between where's Creighton projected now? Like
right now they're at
5,
6 seed.
6.
Yeah.
Difference between a 6 and a 4, maybe. I mean, I don't know.
Well, here's the thing too. Like, before the season, you know, I didn't think that, you know, Creighton was like out of bounds with that schedule. I thought, hey, they thought they're going to be really good. It's a challenging schedule. And in the end, I mean, I guess maybe you trade a couple more losses for a couple more wins, but their net ranking is really high, in part because their strength of schedule was super difficult, you know, and like, going back to Nebraska and that season that you and I mentioned, the 2017-2018 team, that non-conference was horrible. They played Creighton, they played Kansas, and that's kind of it, right? They didn't win either of those games. They finished in they got a double bye in the Big Ten tournament, and it didn't matter because their non-conference schedule, and because if they would have won against Kansas, maybe they make the tournament, and that game went down to the wire. But I don't know. I guess you and I have been watching this Nebraska team for many, many years. You even longer. I feel like more often than not, their schedule is crappy, and it sucks that you have like to go back to the crossover, that you have a bunch of games on BTN Plus that you can't watch on regular TV because it's against, you know, random team that I've never heard of before.
Yeah. And I think it can be different every year. And if you didn't, you know, let's say that, I guess you could say that K-State, instead that K-State game was a win against, I don't know, pick whatever, pick some Tulsa, or Tulsa might be good. I don't know. Pick somebody random, Louisiana Lafayette or something. And let's say it's a win against a team that's in the 200s in Ken Palm or something like that. Just switch one of them and you get a win in that one at home. How different are you feeling right now?
Yeah, I know. It's a great question.
Like, I mean, I suppose the biggest thing is you probably feel safer for the NIT, but that taking Kansas State out and putting that game in, at least with one game, that's not the difference between going and not going. That said, if you had gone to Orlando and you had beaten, you had that win against Memphis, for instance, that might be significant. Or that win, and St. John's didn't turn out to be the team that I think a lot of people thought they were, but had you pulled that game out against St. John's, you know, I think that probably makes the resume look quite a bit different. I just think the return for investment is a lot more for those sorts of games. And exactly what you said too. I think the fans like to see it. How much did the Creighton fans love that chance to go to Maui? And they did great in Maui.
Yeah,
that was the best they looked all year up until the last few weeks.
Yeah, they go 2-1, and then the Texas game. I don't remember a whole lot of people in October from the Creighton side being like, "Man, this sucks. This schedule's too difficult." This is awesome. Can't wait to see him in Maui. Can't wait to see him against a team like Texas. You always look forward, of course, to the Nebraska game, etc. Like, that was a great non-conference schedule.
I mean, I can give you my perspective on Nebraska, but I really, I'd be surprised, I guess, and Creighton fans will have to tell me, but are you feeling that way? Are you like, man, we shouldn't have went to Provo and played BYU? I don't know, because you won the game. You saw what happened. You got really good wins in Maui. You lost the championship. I don't think that's hurting you a whole lot in Maui. And then you hit, the Nebraska loss is hurting you more than anything, right?
Yeah, Kalkbrenner was sick. They have that game in Vegas versus BYU. They have the game in Vegas versus Arizona State. And, that was, in my opinion, that was just more about time and place for how the roster was set up. It wasn't because they were going up against this ultra difficult schedule. Ray says Nebraska won all its bye games. The Kansas State game was rescheduled from COVID. Jays aren't going away, and St. John's was Gavitt, not like a killer schedule outside of the Big Ten.
What I said. I forgot. That's a great point about the K-State game, too.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about that. They had planned to do that. They wanted to have that game in Kansas City.
Yeah.
And it also worked out, too, though. Nebraska ended up playing Boston College in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. It got a win in that because they were in it. And I don't know. I can't imagine either of these teams are going to go in and make a big change for it. And especially Creighton, because if I'm a Creighton fan, I want them to act like these. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Act
This
like
is
a big
exactly
boy
what
with
you
the
want.
way that you schedule. If I'm a fan of Creighton, I think that's what I would be saying with it. And it went for the most part pretty well. It wasn't because the schedule. Who were those 6 losses in a row to for Creighton? It was Texas, Nebraska, BYU,
Arizona State, Marquette, and the first one was Arizona. In
Arizona
Maui.
in the Maui one, which was a close game, and that was a
really good team.
But that was a great game and a good loss.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, exactly.
The Nebraska game you're scheduling no matter what. Okay, and the BYU game did not look. I suppose a road trip. Maybe if you're talking about one, Creighton had those road trips.
Well, that was the thing. Yeah, it was more that they were on the road than they were at home.
Yes.
But it's not, again, going into the BYU game, I don't think anyone before the season even viewed that as a tough one. It was more, again, that Kalkbrenner was out and they were playing like garbage at the time.
Nebraska didn't have one non-obligatory road trip on there. That wasn't on the St. John's one was the Gavitt games, and they had no other. The Creighton and Creighton, which I just assume they can and they should play every single year. That's it. There were no other true road games other than that. That's probably one thing I would say is like, don't go on the road for a bunch of these games.
Yeah,
but
stay at home a little bit longer.
Yeah.
We can get to a call when we return. Also have another response about this discussion. Michael Brunson is going to join us in about 20 minutes as well. Jack Mitchell in today for John Bishop, who is in New York City for the Big East tournament. He'll be back on the program tomorrow ahead of Creighton's game on Thursday. It is Unsportsmanlike Conduct here on 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone.
Your neighborhood is more than blocks of buildings. It's the people who live there that make it special. At Union Bank and Trust, we're not just creating home loans, we're making neighbors. We're not just small business lenders, we're small business shoppers. We don't just live in your community, we help you build it. Because our people are your people. Visit ubt.com/neighbor to learn more. Union Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
OSA Crusaders tryouts are here. Enhance your athletes' love for the game with OSA's top-notch facilities and coaching staff. OSA places a major emphasis on age-appropriate skill development through cutting-edge trends, and OSA athletes have fun learning the game the right way. Take your athlete to the next level and give them an experience that is second to none. Check out their website at omahasportsacademy.com. OSA Crusaders. Earn your right.
Need new wiper blades but not sure which ones are right for you? The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts can help. We'll show you options for your vehicle and even install your new wiper blades for free. Right now, save $10 per pair on Bosch Focus wiper blades so you can see better in any weather. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Scott Trout, attorney and CEO of the domestic litigation firm Cordell & Cordell. We help men deal with the life changes triggered by divorce, such as child custody and property division, among many others. But life changes also occur after divorce. These changes can make parts of your existing court order irrelevant. If you feel a modification to your court orders might be necessary, talk to us at Cordell & Cordell. We're a partner men can count on.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Nebraska or Iowa attorneys. 13340 California Street, Suite 200, Omaha, Nebraska, 68154.
Do you like to shoot fireworks? Would you like to get paid to shoot fireworks? J&M Displays wants you. Help shoot an Omaha Storm Chasers game, Memorial Park display, or any of the major shows in western Iowa and all of Nebraska. If you like to travel, J&M covers Nebraska, Kansas, and most of Missouri. They offer free training and great daily pay rates, which makes it a perfect part-time job. Visit jnmdisplays.com and click the Join Our Team tab to find out more. J&M Fireworks.
Does eating at home have you singing the blues? Stop by Cobb's at the Shadow Lake Town Center, 180th and Center, or 72nd and Jones to grab a delicious pizza, burgers, fresh salad, and some tasty charred wings. They even offer keto crusts and an extensive variety of shareable appetizers. Dine in, carry out, or delivery. Cobb's, now with 3 convenient locations to serve you. Shadow Lake Town Center, 180th and Center, and 72nd and Jones. Click cobbspizza.com to see the menu, pizza, and so much more.
What if I told you there was a way to step into another gear for your brain and be much sharper, more focused, and improve your memory to a level that you could only dream about and notice these results in 30 minutes? Hard to believe? Neuroscientists are calling this new brain discovery the biggest advancement in brain science to date. It's called Limitless, the brain pill of the future. Take it, and within 30 minutes, you'll transport your mind to a new level of focus and clarity you would have never thought possible.
I took Limitless and it started working in minutes. All of a sudden, it felt like a dark cloud had been lifted up right before my eyes. I have a mental clarity I've never felt before.
Biz execs, athletes, teachers, and students are calling Limitless a secret weapon for the brain. You have nothing to lose, so call now and find out how to get a free bottle today.
To find out how to get your free bottle of Limitless, call 800-605-3946. That's 800-605-3946. Get your free bottle for a limited time. Call now. 800-605-3946. 800-605-3946.
Colon cancer is the second leading cancer killer in the U.S., and Nebraska ranks 32nd in screening rates with only 58%. Get up to date on your screening. Colon cancer screening can prevent cancer from occurring and save lives. The Colon Cancer Task Force is providing free at-home kits for Nebraska residents aged 45 to 74. For your free screening kit, visit OmahaColonKit.com. That's OmahaColonKit.com.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no per-ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone.
Josh Peterson and Jack Mitchell with you. We mentioned the Lamar Jackson non-exclusive franchise tag that the Ravens have used. $32.4 million is what they would owe him. Lamar can negotiate with other teams, and the Ravens can either match that offer or get 2 first-round picks. So that's the situation there. Also in the NFL, before we get back to Nebraska and Creighton's non-conference schedules, Daniel Jones and the Giants have agreed to a 4-year extension worth $160 million. That's the same deal Dak got a couple of years ago, $35 million in incentives as well, according to The Athletic. And then the Giants placed a franchise tag on Saquon Barkley. So we were all told, like, this is going to be the week where things start moving in the NFL. We'll talk about Aaron Rodgers in a little bit, but the moves have started being made, including the Giants and the Ravens with their quarterback situations. So there you go.
Man. Movement, NFL offseason. We have NFL news today, Josh.
I love the NFL. Show. I love NFL news during the show. Jack, we got a text from Travis. Says if Creighton had an easier schedule and didn't have to play and lose against Nebraska, they could maybe have a better seeding in the NCAA tournament. So yeah, that was a big problem too. They played Nebraska. They lost to Nebraska. Tough look for Creighton there. And Padilla says Creighton's away from home schedule was mostly a matter of timing and necessity. They went to Vegas because CHI was being used, played in Maui because, of course, you jump at that, and they were sent on the road in the Big East / Big 12 challenge. Yeah,
that's what I was saying. Yeah, I agree with him.
I'm happy that you and I are in agreement on. Again, I don't know. I was just a little surprised because I thought, I don't know. I've always hated Nebraska's non-conference schedules for the most part in basketball. It was fun to see him play some teams that like I know who they are, and like you said it at the end of the segment. Creighton, as they have continued to rise, I think this is what you want if you're a fan. And you might not win all the games, but you're getting to play in cool locations against pretty good teams. And in the end, the strength of schedule is going to help you out with the NCAA tournament hopes. And that's what happened with them.
Yeah. If Nebraska got a chance to go to Maui, got a chance to go to one of those higher prestige holiday tournaments, I think I would still support it. And this is from a fan's perspective, not necessarily from Fred Hoibert's perspective, but just kind of for the fun of it, right?
Yeah.
For being a part of that sort of a thing. I 100% understand why Creighton would have done that in this scenario this year.
Yeah, and going back to what Chattel wrote, he said, "Don't be surprised if both teams' schedules look a lot different next year." Like, there's a part of me that's kind of now worried, I guess, that they will look different, and so I hope that he's wrong and that he's not hearing things that lead him to believe that they're going to schedule a little bit easier.
But Josh, I mean, both of these teams almost always do some kind of a holiday tournament or something. And yeah, Maui had a stacked field this year. Actually, it looked better then than it does now. Texas Tech was not nearly as good as we thought they were then.
Yeah.
But like that field in Orlando, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell how good that's kind of like a field you're going to get in a whole lot of these things.
Yeah, and like Creighton will probably have an easier non-conference schedule just because they won't be in Maui, right? Like in the Maui tournament usually is going to be one of the best, of the entire season. Mm-hmm. So I mean, if you're and they're going to go somewhere else. Can't remember if Creighton is in KC. Is Nebraska in KC next year? I believe one of the two teams is in Kansas City again next season.
That very well could be. I don't know. I haven't seen that. But the other thing is, you don't know who you're going to play in those tournaments.
Yeah.
Right. Creighton loses that first game instead of wins it, and they're playing, who knows, Chaminade or something. I don't know who it would have been, but that can completely change what the schedule in those tournaments look like.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. 402-951-1620. Let's go to the phone lines right now. Welcome Katie into the conversation. Katie, you're in the zone.
Hey, longtime Creighton fan here that started at Creighton when they were in the Missouri Valley Conference. And if you had told me back in 2010 that our schedule now would be what it was this last year, I would tell you that this is amazing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And being a fan this year and getting to watch it despite some of the bad losses and the Paul Mono and all that, it was a blast. I did the Vegas trip with college buddies and it was well worth it. And I would just say from a Creighton perspective, we are where we'd like to be schedule-wise. Maybe not as hard, but it was really enjoyable from a fan's perspective.
Like you wouldn't trade it for a 2-seed bump in the NCAA tournament necessarily. Just the experience of the schedule.
To go from a 6 to a 4, no.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Hey, thanks for the call. Yeah, like if this is a difference between a 4 and a 2 or a 3 and a 1, maybe he's feeling a little bit different, but yeah, when it's a 6 to a 4 and you like, I think sometimes, and this came up last week when we were talking a lot about like Creighton and the idea of asking for more from the program and Nebraska fans sometimes being a little confused by maybe there not being enough Creighton anger or angst for their liking. I think that the beginning of that phone call from KD kind of explains a lot of it. There are still so many fans that remember the quote unquote old days in the Missouri Valley when they were playing in bracket buster games on a random February night, like when we're a few more generations, a few more decades down the road, like that mindset will be gone outside of like, fans that are, you and me that are way, way older at that point in time. But I think for a while, you're still going to have people that are like, no, I don't want an easier schedule. This is way more fun because I remember when our team had to play this bad program in the non-conference because that's all we could ask for. We couldn't have teams coming to Omaha. We couldn't go to Maui. And so I think that more fans than not are going to be like Katie and appreciate it.
And again, I'll go back to what the losses to Nebraska and to BYU are the ones that hurt. And maybe some of the conference, but losses to Nebraska and BYU, you didn't look at the schedule and be like, oh, those are insane, crazy. Maybe going on the road to BYU, but BYU is, I think, an NIT team probably now after this is all over. Nebraska's probably maybe an NIT team now that it's all said and done. It's not like you, and you're doing Nebraska anyway. It's not like you looked at that and you're like, oh man, you're taking on the best of the best here.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. So, all right. So that's, I guess, what's going on with the hoop schedules.
We totally disagree.
Yeah.
With the
by the way, we put out a prompt earlier during the crossover, singular sporting event that you have watched the most times in your life. So the 95 Orange Bowl, the 96 Fiesta Bowl, those have really started kind of showing up quite a bit for people. Ravi Lula mentioned both of those. Also mentioned the 2004 ALCS Game 4, which is the game that began the Red Sox comeback against the Yankees.
Yes.
Where they stole for second and then
the Dave Roberts steal. Yeah.
Dave Roberts steal. So that came up. Let's see. Man, a lot of 96 Fiesta Bowls. Josh says the 2019 Masters, which was when Tiger Woods won for the first time.
How can you rewatch golf? Oh,
I mean, you can rewatch the Sunday.
The Sunday.
I've rewatched some of that on YouTube. No, I haven't watched the whole round.
Seriously?
That's a lot of golf. Absolutely. He also says the T-Magic Kansas State game. Yeah, that's a good one. I know I've rewatched that one.
I bet I've only watched that. I watched that. I pulled out some of the highlights up on that in YouTube once within the last year or so, and I was shocked. That I remember is I was shocked by it. I need to rewatch that game sometime.
Such a great game. Jacob says, I always like watching 2001 Nebraska versus Oklahoma. The perfect game, in my opinion. So defense, two big plays on offense to determine the outcome after that, probably the 1995 Orange Bowl. Matt, who is obviously a Mets fan, says Game 6 of the 1986 World Series when the Red Sox blew it against the Mets.
What about the Game 5 of the 2015 World Series? That was a good one the Mets were in, too.
Oh, it went to extra innings. And how many runs did the Mets
Matt
lose
Harvey
by?
had a great outing in that game.
Did they lose by 5 or 6 runs by the end of that game?
It was a
Man,
lot.
it's so I don't like when baseball games go to extra innings and then the final score makes it seem like it was a terrible game, but it's just because one team scores, 5 runs in 1 inning or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Very anticlimactic. I know you were having a good time. Cartwright says no, it's Sunday. Actually, just rewatched that game for the first time ever. And Adam says the 98 Bulls versus Jazz Game 6. That one has also shown up a couple of times.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
For me, it's far and away that Orange Bowl. Far and away. Doubles up, triples up, maybe anything else.
Apex guy on the sidelines.
Yep.
With all the cables.
The awkward high five between Corey Schlesinger and Rob Zadiska after the touchdown.
Yeah, Tillman caught the ball.
I mean, so many little things from that game, details. It's like knowing all the lines in a movie or knowing that something's coming. That's the exact same way.
Tommy getting up and spinning around. Good times. Another person who remembers the 1995 Orange Bowl is Michael Bruntz, and he will join us when we return. We can talk whatever we want: baseball, basketball, football. Do want to talk some Husker football today? We'll have the Dylan Raiola stuff. But speaking of Tom Chattel, he wrote something today about Matt Rule winning the offseason that I wanted to run by Jack Mitchell. So we will get to that as well as we roll on. Jack in today for John. I'm Josh Peterson. It's Unsportsmanlike Conduct, 1620 The Zone.
The Connor Happer Show.
Are you interested in any Keisei Tomanagua? We're making a product out of it. It's water bottles, and it's Keisei Tomanagua.
Keisei Tomanagua Pina?
Exactly. You seem like you want to invest.
I think that you're onto something here that could take off.
We just need a retweet from Steph Curry.
Yeah, you could get stuff like, whenever I'm thirsty, I grab a bottle of ice cold Keisei Tomanagua. The commercials write themselves at this point.
The Connor Happer Show. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Mostly cloudy with temperatures in the low and mid 40s into this evening. Mainly cloudy tonight, a chance of some light rain, low temperatures in the mid 30s. And then cloudy for Wednesday with some off and on light rain showers, highs in the upper 30s. I am Chief Meteorologist Bill Ranby from KETV Newswatch 7.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct, brought to you by a great friend of the program, Union Bank and Trust.
Guys, let's face it, there is a time when you just need to get out of the house, to have your own place, to be with the guys, or just a quiet, relaxing place for yourself. Well, Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge hears you loud and clear. Settle in. Escape to Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge for an incredible selection plus premium cocktails, a knowledgeable, friendly staff, state-of-the-art humidor, and incredible lounge. Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge, just off I-680 at 48th Street next to Covey's.
Ready to revolutionize your home's look? Smash those outdated windows and upgrade with J-Tech Construction, the official exterior and solar experts of the Huskers. For a limited time, qualified buyers enjoy no payments and 0 interest for a year. Plus, receive a free triple paint upgrade. Trust the best in the business and see why so many homeowners choose us. Contact us now and take the first step toward a stunning home transformation. The official exterior and solar experts of the Huskers, J-Tech Construction, your exterior experts.com.
Peerless Energy Systems is Nebraska and Iowa's locally owned and operated authorized solar air compressor distributor. Peerless Energy Systems provides products and solutions for compressed air systems, helping companies in manufacturing, food processing, transportation, auto body repair, car dealers, and more. Driving industry efficiency through service, support, and relationships, let Peerless Energy Systems help you increase efficiency with your compressed air systems today. PeerlessEnergy.com.
Doctors Bimbo and Vince Petro provide quality and caring dentistry for the entire family in a friendly, relaxed environment at the northwest corner of 144th and Dodge. New patients are always welcome. Look no further than Doctors Bimbo and Vince Petro, dentistry for the entire family.
Attention sales professionals. NRG Media is looking for an accomplished business-to-business salesperson who wants to take their success and skills to a new level. Is this you? Our account executives work with local businesses to create marketing plans to help them get more customers. On air, digital, on-site, audio, video, it's all part of what you could sell. A sales career with NRG lets you make a real difference. Get more info and apply online at nrgmedia.com. NRG Media is an equal opportunity employer.
Let's face it, credit cards are pretty much a necessity.
New tires for the car? Here's my card.
I order takeout, here's my card. And most of us just accept the high interest rates credit cards charge as a necessary evil.
What are you going to do?
Get a low fixed rate credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream from $5,000 to $100,000 and pay off those credit card balances. Apply online and you could get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR. But with Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 7.99% APR with autopay and excellent credit.
Now I can pay off my high-interest credit cards and save money with a much lower rate.
Apply today at lightstream.com/radio and get an additional interest rate discount. That's lightstream.com/radio. Lightstream.com/radio.
Subject to credit approval. Rates range from 7.99% APR to 23.99% APR and include a 0.5% autopay discount. Lowest rate requires excellent credit. Terms and conditions apply and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/radio for more information.
This is unsportsmanlike conduct. Old creepy guy. The 1620. The Zone.
Here's a story of a man named Bruncy who covers Husker sports, boys and girls, like football and basketball, even weightlifting, like front squats and curls. Then one day, good old Bruncy called a talk show, and acting on what they thought was a hunch, John and Josh wanted to start a family. And now we get to talk to Michael Brunts. It's Michael Brunts. Michael Brunts. Now we get to talk to Michael Brunts.
His name is Michael Brunts. He writes for Husker 24/7 Sports, and he joins us right now on Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Brunts, what's going on? You're outside.
I'm inside right now. Still doing okay though. I'm glad Jack's on today. I was looking to talk some Hofstra basketball if there's any time left at the end of this. But yeah, I don't know who Nebraska basketball fans are supposed to root for now that Hofstra didn't take care of business.
There's still. Can I interest you in Cal Irvine? There's still plenty of options out there for your viewing pleasure for the next 2 days. I'll run them down later in the show, but don't despair. But Hofstra, you're right. Yeah. Hofstra was a major going kick last night. Just another one in many for Nebraska basketball fans.
You can certainly interest me in Cal Irvine basketball, though. That's the kind of stuff that I would. I could watch that at like 1 a.m.
Bruns, what was the bigger surprise to you? Was it in that guy's NIT bracketology thing? Was it A, that there is a guy who does bracketology for NITs, or was it B, that he has Nebraska hosting Villanova in the National Invitation Tournament?
Yeah, it's hard. Like, my kind of experience with the NIT is very skewed, I think, because the last time we were kind of in this position with covering a potential NIT team was the very awkward night where Nebraska basketball thought that they had a shot at the NCAA tournament, and then ended up going on the road to Mississippi State in the NIT. So my compass for NIT bids is a little bit off, but I would have expected that there's guys out there doing NIT. There's probably CBI bracketology somewhere if you really want it, right?
Oh.
Like, it's like one of those things where, like, you probably get about anybody to take money on any kind of athletic competition. You could probably get somebody to give you a bracket for it too.
I just pulled up CBI bracketology,
and
right now UNC Greensboro expected to be the top seed overall here on this.
Isn't that this team?
No, I'm devastated. Oh,
that's that guy.
Yes, he's gonna get redemption.
Oh,
that's
Bruns, have you heard that play-by-play yet from the Greensboro dude?
No.
Oh my gosh! I will send you the video. It is here. Nick, play this one. This clip is so funny.
I'm devastated. They're celebrating right in front of me.
I mean, just a play-by-play announcer for our times.
I mean, it sounds like someone doing a dramatic reading of an audiobook of my tweets is what it sounds like during basketball losses.
That's the voice I imagine that you make when you have a mistake in one of your tweets when you go back and read.
Yeah, we have to edit it.
Yeah.
When I write my autobiography, I am definitely paying that guy to do the audible version of it.
Oh,
yeah, definitely. How do you what do you think? How do you think Nebraska fared? I know it's all a crapshoot with the Big Ten this year, and like 2 through 11 are within one game. But what, obviously if Nebraska wants to kind of get crazy and win a few games here, how do you think the schedule sets up? Minnesota first, obviously, then Maryland, and then probably Indiana, although that could be Illinois or Penn State as well in that game.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Minnesota's fine. I mean, Maryland worries me a little bit just because, in that game, it felt like, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but that felt like one that Nebraska kind of escaped with a little bit. And I don't know. I mean, you start getting on a neutral floor like that. I feel like, teams with generally superior talent, have a little bit of an edge there. So, I mean, I think Nebraska can get through, that first round. I mean, I think they've kind of got Minnesota's number. I think it's a good matchup for Nebraska. And, beyond that, I mean, I don't know. Winning that second one, I think, is going to be pretty tough. But, the one thing that you can say about this team that maybe helps them in a format like this, I mean, you're playing the first night, so you kind of get used to the gym and how everything kind of is. You get the jitters out. And then, they've got guys that, I mean, if Tominaga gets going or something like that, I mean, you've got some guys that can really be dangerous in a format like this. So I guess I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth. But that Maryland matchup in Lincoln, it felt like to me, that Maryland was probably the better team, and Nebraska kind of just, should have been okay with just kind of sneaking out of there with the win. I don't think I'd want to see them a second time.
Yeah.
Bruns, I may or may not be offering up a mea culpa to Jack later in regards to the Michigan State game, and I'll explain to him when we get there. But like when you look back at that loss in the second half and just the great shooting, and like let's say everything else stays the same, and maybe this is just a ridiculous question. What are we discussing with them in the Big Ten tournament in relation to the NCAA tournament if they get that W? Is it still the same where they got to go 5-0?
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd still probably have to do that.
Okay.
I mean, if the only game that probably changes the calculus a little bit is if you get it over the finish line against Purdue. That one to me probably makes it a little bit of a different conversation. I don't know. I mean, Michigan State's they just feel like they're in that group, that car crash of teams. I mean, I don't think it would have been seen as a huge win for them, even though, certainly locally, how jacked up everybody was going into that game. I mean, it would have been huge, but I don't know that it would have changed a ton. I mean, when you kind of just put Nebraska as like, you get that team sheet out, you start looking at AP ranking. It doesn't look great for Nebraska there, unfortunately. So I don't think it would have changed a ton.
Do you think, we were talking about this earlier about the, kind of the schedule we were talking about for Nebraska and Creighton, but, let's say Nebraska's got somebody instead of Kansas State, right, in that game, and they pick up a more of a bye game type win. Like, does the difficulty of this year's non-conference, do you think, give people pause, gives Fred Hoiberg or anybody in the basketball program pause, saying, man, we got to reevaluate how we schedule in the non-conference?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's probably some value in a couple more bye games. I mean, that just with all the neutral site tournaments. I mean, if you're going to play in those, I mean, that basically limits 3 games that you're not able to schedule yourself. The other early season games that the Big Ten, makes its teams play. I mean, there's really not a ton of wiggle room there to just load up in the front of the schedule with easy winnable games. So I think there's probably a little bit more value in it, especially though if you're not going to get the credit for playing those games. I mean, the K-State's been very good this year, but I don't know that Nebraska really saw the benefit from that in scheduling that game. But I think the Big Ten schedule, just the way that it is, it just kind of forces you into playing high major opponents, and unfortunately Nebraska's just not getting any benefit from that this year.
Yeah. Michael Brunt's joining us on Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Bruntsy, turn into to football. I was thinking yesterday after listening to Thomas Fedoni, about my thoughts on him at the end of last season, and how I don't think that I would have been surprised if he would have come back. But after hearing him yesterday, and I know you were in the room for it, I think I am certainly not surprised at all, given what we learned and maybe a little bit of a disconnect between him and the previous coaching staff, talking about getting yelled at for not playing. And of course, he hadn't been cleared by the medical staff. What did you make of his time? I didn't realize it until yesterday. It's the first time that he's spoken in a media setting like this, obviously, given how little he's played.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. And it certainly raises your eyebrows a little bit when, a guy says he was being yelled at for not playing. I mean, I don't know specifics on that, and he didn't really get into much more than it had happened. But his situation is kind of unique too, given if they were trying to push him to play at the end of last season. I thought he might have even come back a little bit quick the first time around when he got hurt, because he came back. I want to say it played against Wisconsin at the end of the 21 season, just sparingly, practiced some. But, I think it was, I want to say Brian Christopherson, my colleague at Husker 24/7, was pretty diligent about just asking, like, is Fedoni out for the year? Is he not? Like, what's the status there? And it always kind of seemed like, the answer was like, well, he's, around, and never was quite ruled out. But I mean, I think ultimately him not playing last year was the right decision given his history. But you definitely don't like to hear that he was feeling pressed to come back or anything like that. If that's depending on how kind of strongly that was pushed. So yeah, I mean, he's a guy though that I was kind of curious to see this offseason what he was going to decide to do, if he was going to try the portal out. But from everything he said yesterday, it sounds like there's not many more guys on the roster that are more bought in than he is right now.
Yeah, I would have been. He was on my list of guys. I felt like he had a not great experience, and I think we know a little bit more about that now. You could just kind of read between the lines on some of the things he said on social media and those sorts of things. It's like it was forever ago. It seems like now that he was a blue chip recruit that Nebraska got, and what a big deal that was at the time. And I've basically been, just waiting so long to get a chance to see him. I've kind of forgotten if I ever knew what kind of a tight end he is, how he might fit into this sort of an offense. And I don't know how much his body has changed or anything has changed since he's been in college, but just how do you think, from what you remember, there's just not a lot of tape on him for years. What do you remember about kind of who he was as a recruit and how he might fit into what this offense, what this team is going to look like next year?
Yeah, he's interesting because I want to say it was his first spring. They actually had an open practice for media, and he was still practicing then, hadn't gotten hurt yet. And, he stands out. I mean, he's an athletic tight end that at the time, you're like, okay, this is a guy that's going to be, flexed out as more of a wide receiver, certainly a pass catching, target, and a guy that, is just really kind of a matchup nightmare for defenses. We'll see where he comes back off of the multiple injuries, but I mean, that's still, I think, kind of the plan for him. He said yesterday that he was around 250, 260, which, if that's the case, I mean, that's about another 25 or 30 pounds heavier than what he was coming out of high school. So, if he can still move at that size, I mean, that's a pretty unique makeup for a tight end. And then you pair him with, Eric Gilbert, the transfer from Georgia, who's kind of similar in that way, where, he's 260 pounds, runs like a wide receiver. And, my sense is that given what they've done with the tight ends at other places with Matt Rule and Mark Satterfield, I think they're going to look to take advantage of those types of athletes. And, for both of those guys, and Fedoni in particular, the depth chart's wide open for him there. I mean, there's not, guys coming back that you would probably, write on the depth chart and, permanent marker right now. So he's definitely got to watch this spring. I mean, I think they're going to be careful with him, but, people need to remember that, this is the number one tight end in the country in his recruiting class, and for good reason. He's a heck of an athlete.
Michael Bruns, Husker 24/7 Sports, joins us each and every Tuesday at this time. Bruns, as always, we appreciate it. Enjoy the baseball.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Later. Michael Bruns joining us. All right, Jack, when we return, we have a few things. First of all, I guess I'll just read you this tweet now. Going back to the question of what sporting event have you rewatched the most? Travis asked, did Jack get his appointment set for the classic Orange Bowl logo tattoo? Have you given a local tattoo spot a jingle so you can get that tattoo of the Orange Bowl?
I made a statement to some people that if I ever got a tattoo, and I might sometime in my life, among my short list is the logo of the Orange Bowl. And I don't know why. I just
great tattoo.
That logo gives me more nostalgia, more just like good, excited feelings than almost anything I can think of. And so, no, I've not made the appointment. No, it's a ways down, but I think it's a very short list at some point. When you get a tattoo and you're over 40, like, what do you get it of? Exactly. Right. I mean,
your son, you do like the footprints of your kids when they were born. You have those,
No, that's corny. And that's weird.
Like a picture they drew, you could get that.
Yeah, I'm not doing like barbed wire around my arm or anything like that.
That's what you should do.
You don't want to go full Larry the Cable Guy?
Dude,
barbed wire.
Can you imagine
a kick-ass tattoo?
No, can you imagine a huge Orange Bowl logo like right here, right on my arm?
I was thinking more on like your leg.
That'd
put
be
it
cool.
on your calf.
Do you know what a great conversation piece that would be? People would think it is sweet. They would love it.
Do it. How would your wife? How would she respond if you got that tattoo?
I think she'd be all right with it. I think she'd be all right.
Perfect.
She might not get it. She wouldn't have a problem with the principle of getting me getting a tattoo. I think she would have some opinions on where it was, and she would think it was very weird if it was the Orange Bowl tattoo.
Definitely. Speaking of very weird, when we return, Jack Mitchell thinks that the Nebraska athletic department might be playing a prank on Husker fans. We explore why on the other side. We'll also talk some Dylan Raiola in a little bit, Aaron Rodgers, and a whole lot more. Also, Max Olson will join us next hour. Talk about what the hell is happening with the Pac-12 conference and its future. Jack Mitchell in today for John Bishop. A reminder that this week's Zone Deal is too early bird. You don't have to wait for the weekend for brunch. Delicious breakfast and lunch items are served daily. Pancakes, eggs, Benedicts, omelets, beverages, and a full breakfast cocktail menu, whether it is dine-in or carry out. This week's zone deal, 2 $25 vouchers, a $50 value for only $25. All the details can be found on the website. And of course, you can get this going on Friday morning at 9 o'clock at 1620thezone.com. Hey everyone, Josh Peterson here for my friends at Kugler Vision. We have moved now into March, already a week gone in this month of March. And as Jack mentioned earlier, spring break season is upon us. And at Kugler Vision, they have spring break spectacular LASIK savings happening right now. You can find out more information at their website, kuglervision.com. The only spot in our lovely state of Nebraska that specializes in all 7 FDA-approved forms of modern vision corrections. Not many places in this country that do this sort of thing, but thankfully we have Kugler Vision right here in Omaha. All you got to do is give them a call at 402-558-2211 or visit that website, kuglervision.com. You can set up a no-obligation consultation. Meet with a doctor, find out which of those 7 procedures you qualify for, and yes, you will meet with a doctor that will answer all of your questions. When I went through the process over 5 years ago, that was one of the best parts, finding out exactly why I qualified for this and why I didn't qualify for that. Got rid of the glasses, and my life has been the better for it. Enjoy the springtime activities, then the summer and the fall, and the rest of your life with the help of Kugler Vision. Visit their website today, kuglervision.com.
Remember, no matter how you listen, it's still AM radio. 1620, The Zone.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Hi, friends. Kent Pavelka courtside getting ready for this year's matchup between the Average Roofing Companies and the Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. The average roofers are just that, average at best, not very impressive. The Rooferees, above and beyond the opponent, more dependable, service that exceeds the norm, good sportsmanship, fairness, and integrity. You know them, you love them, and they're ready to win for you. Make the right call with John Higgins Weather Guard. It's tip-off time with the Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Rooferees. Omaha Sports Academy is celebrating 15 years of youth basketball in the Metro, and spring and summer programming is coming. Omaha Sports Academy will help your athlete reach their maximum potential and take their game to the next level with focus on cutting-edge trends and high-level skill development. OSA athletes have fun learning the game the right way in top-notch facilities with OSA professional staff. Get all the details at omahasportsacademy.com. OSA Crusaders, earn your right.
Listen to the Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jays shoot-around and overtime shows. The Creighton men's basketball pregame and postgame shows on 1620 The Zone. The Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jays shoot-around and overtime shows are also presented by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and more, by Barry Law, by Union Bank and Trust, and by DJ's Dugout. Before and after each Creighton game, exclusively on your home for the Creighton Blue Jays. 1620 The Zone, 1620 The Zone mobile app, and 1620thezone.com.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
At Murphy Tractor, we're committed to being your first choice when it comes to your compact and construction equipment needs. Each of our 29 locations has a diverse lineup of new, used, and rental equipment, along with a wide variety of parts inventory and experienced service technicians. Our field service capabilities will keep your machines moving and keep you on time. Let Murphy Tractor's John Deere equipment be your first choice. Give us a call at 855-246-9124 or visit us online at murphytractor.com.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching a kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, trunk lids, license plate holders, and headlights. They've got lots of headlights. When you need parts, get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's going to fit. eBay Motors. Let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct is brought to you by Union Bank and Trust. Now back to the program.
We will get to Jack's thought on the Nebraska Athletic Department and maybe a ruse that they are pulling on us in just a moment. But real quick, Shangping Appreciation Club says, I have no empirical data to base this on, but I guess like 95% of the people with Orange Bowl tattoos also have barbed wire. So I think, Jack, if you're going to get one, I think you might have to do a little twofer and have the barbed wire. Maybe you have the Orange Bowl logo inside of the barbed wire.
Does Larry the Cable Guy have an Orange Bowl tattoo?
I would not be surprised.
No, if he does, I'm out on it. I'm not copying him. I mean, I gotta be unique. I want to be the only guy. I want to be the only guy with the Orange Bowl tattoo in town. If there's a second one, it's like this funny thing in Lincoln. It reminds me of there's this van that drives around that is painted exactly like the Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine. You'll see it around town. And then one time I found another one. There's another one. It's painted like slightly worse and not as good. Can you imagine that second one when they moved to town and they're like, oh man, I'm gonna drive around this Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine and it's gonna be such a conversation piece. And you find out you're the second Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine.
And yours isn't even as good as the other one.
Yes, you're the second Mystery Machine in Lincoln, Nebraska, and someone had that idea. That would be like if I found out someone else had the Orange Bowl tattoo.
I would be livid. I would be livid if I thought I had a cool bit with my vehicle and then it was not a cool bit and it was worse than the other person who had done the cool bit.
Daniel on the chat says sports tattoo on the back of your calf is the standard over 40-year-olds dude's first tattoo. So
yeah.
Maybe so.
I have a
cat tattoos on his arm.
My dad's first tattoo was the wedding ring band. Him and my mom did that for their 25th anniversary.
Did they still wear their wedding bands then?
They wear their wedding bands to like nice events. You know, if they're going to, like so my brothers are getting married this year. They will wear their wedding bands to the wedding.
Really?
I would assume they'll wear it to their, but for the most part, when they're just existing in society, they don't have their wedding rings on anymore.
I wouldn't want to do that because I like to play with mine. So that and like make loud noises, banging the table and stuff.
I worked with someone who used to take it off and he would like spin it around.
Yeah, my dad used to do that too. Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need a fidget toy.
Exactly. So that was their first, and then my dad does have it. Him and I, we went and got tattoos together. We did the state of Nebraska outline on our calves.
Oh, like that's where you're from.
Nick, you absolutely nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. You know what I will not be getting a tattoo of, though, Jack? The Nebraska hoodie designs on my body. Now, you have a theory that you would like to proffer about what the hell is going on with these garbage-ass hoodies lately.
Josh, let's start at the beginning, though, okay? Let's all go back to, let's see, 2 Fridays ago, right? Two Fridays ago, when the rumors on Twitter were getting hot and heavy that Dylan Raiola...
when he was coming into town,
might be on a flight.
Yes.
And the message boards maybe had a source that had a sibling that was on the plane and was sending some blurry pictures of people that might have been Dylan and Dominic, but you weren't sure. And then it looked like they landed at Epley and someone got a picture of him walking, it looked like, to the baggage claim area. And you and I were looking at this, and the first thing I said is like, what is that sweatshirt that he's wearing? And we only saw it from the back, but it had like sort of like piping where the elbows were a different color than the rest of the. I haven't looked at it for a while, but I just remember talking to you about it. And then I noticed that you made note of Thomas Fidoni's hooded sweatshirt, or as you guys call them, hoodies, during his press conference, right?
Yeah, it looks like it looks like when you go to a college graduation and all the professors that sit up front, they have like the funnier hats with the tassels, and then they have like all these robes and sashes on, and that's what Thomas Fidoni's hoodie yesterday looked like. It looked like he had sashes on. Dave Fight, by the way, he said that it looked more like a priest thing, and he added an extra like design, and it looked like he had the cross on his hooded sweatshirt.
And then someone right before we started today, I believe, retweeted another picture of was it Fred Hoiberg? In a hoodie.
Yes.
And I haven't had a chance to look at that one a long time. Do you have that up in front of you by any chance? You can describe it.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it right now. Somebody tweeted at me.
You
earlier.
retweeted it.
Yeah, that's what it was. I retweeted it. Thank you.
You retweeted it from Unsportsmanlike Conduct, or maybe it was your account. Probably
there it is. Oh yes. Oh God, I'm gonna retweet this right now at USC 1620. Kevin Suits had video of him speaking today. Jack, it's horrible. I don't know what is happening. What is going on with this weird hoodie contraption? I'm trying to I'm opening up the video right now. Okay, so it has across his like upper chest and over his. It's like he's wearing shoulder pads.
Right.
With the way that the fabric is kind of cut.
And
the hoodie is a different color. The hoodie is red. One of the sleeves is red. One of the sleeves is black. The body is black with white lettering, but then the shoulder pads, if you will, are also black.
And
I
then
have no idea what's going on.
And then there's not only it says Huskers at the front, which is fine, but then the shoulders have decor on them too.
Jack, you know what it looks like? It looks like when you go to a bowl game and you get the patches on, I'm in the Rose Bowl. I'm in the Orange Bowl with Jack's tattoo.
And you know what it looks like? It looks like, I want to go back to like 2002 maybe, when Florida and Virginia Tech had Nike uniforms. Do you remember that the sleeves were different colors? Do you remember?
Vaguely.
During like the Marcus Vick era, I think.
Yeah, okay. I do
Virginia
remember
Tech.
the ones with Virginia Tech.
Somebody will find the picture. That's what it looks like.
That.
But Josh, each one, I mean, Hoiberg's is dude, I feel like
that one sucks.
I feel like the pace that we're on with these publicly shown Nebraska sweatshirts, I don't know where we're going with this thing. I'm wondering if, by April Fool's Day, they're going to be wearing like full Zubaz or something. I don't know where this is going, but there's a hoodie issue right now. And this is not the Scott Frost hoodie issue.
I was going to say, because I just found, I'm going to put it up on the stream. Remember the hoodie that he was wearing all of the time?
Yeah, you didn't like that one either because of that was more about like the shape, right?
It was, and I'm uploading it right now, and so I'm just about to put it on the video stream. It was about the neck area, because I'm wearing a hoodie right now, very normal, down by like kind of I guess where the hoodie begins, if you will, right? This is kind of the beginning point of the hoodie, and this one, it has the weird.
It's like a t-shirt collar.
Yes, it's horrible.
Yes.
Wow, look at the score in the Michigan game in 2018. It's 0-0, almost
good
5 minutes
start.
in.
Good
Hey,
start.
come on, Huskers. You can win this game. So, yeah, I don't know what is going on. I mean, look, the obvious answer is they're not a Nike school. That's the obvious answer.
I don't know.
What the hell are you doing right now?
Nike was the one that did those uniforms for those other teams, but
that's true. That's true.
All I'm saying is we may need to stop all hoodie wearing until we can figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
Now
you have a theory. What is this? You think that this might be a long game that the university
is this a long game where they get wilder and every single successive appearance with a hoodie gets goofier every single time until it culminates on April 1st?
And they're all
game and like
horrible hoodies.
And like the hoodies for the last 4 months were a joke.
It was a bit.
Here's our new line of cool hoodies. Matt Rule, new branding, Trev Alberts.
Oh, and they could do it at a random sporting event where college football players are there getting points because they went to the tennis match or something like that. I like the idea. St. Creek Appreciation Club says the hoodies 100% look like Stephen Barry's made them. Ooh, how do you feel about that, Jack, as a big Stephen Barry's guy?
Stephen Barry's was great because this hoodies cost $8. It was amazing.
Those
That
hoodies
was
were
that
so
was the
cheap.
amazing part. It wasn't the highest quality or necessarily the greatest looks, but it was very affordable, which I appreciated at the time of my life. And then, Josh, here's what I'm worried. You know who Nebraska's head football coach is and what he is perhaps most famous for before coming to Nebraska for me?
Mock.
His sideline outfits.
Yeah, it was very interesting outfits. Very interesting.
What? Who's driving the ship right now in this athletic department?
That's a good question.
We
talk about alignment. Hey, look, I'll say this. Nebraska athletics, I don't think they've ever been this aligned and wearing garbage clothing like they are right now.
And
they're doing a great job.
Wasn't Trev talking about he wanted the same among sports? He didn't want,
Yes, he wants the same kind of look
to
across all
sport.
the sports.
How about we start that off the field? Because what you do off the field is reflected more than anything in what you do on the field.
Yeah.
And it's time to get your off the field hoodie game right. And it's going to be a whole lot easier on game day when you've been practicing, when you've been doing those reps over and over again, even when it hurts. When game day comes, you're going to be ready to be dressed appropriately.
Yeah, and they're not ready right now. So, Nebraska, get your poop together because we hate your clothes right now. It's really, really bad.
And then the funny thing is, Josh, how many times do you hear something? It usually seems to be with basketball. And sometimes baseball. I don't know if it's as much football, but how many times do you hear someone where they put out a picture of somebody wearing a hat or something, or the jerseys or something like that? They're like, let us buy these. Right?
Yes. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like,
and I'm not doing that with any of these hoodies.
Yeah. I don't know. The Hoiberg one is something.
Yeah.
He went over top of Fedoni, like, woo.
Yeah. It is absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. When we return, Matt Rule and Nebraska, they might not be wearing good clothing, but are they winning the offseason once again? And does that even matter that they are winning the offseason once again? We'll get to that on the other side. Also, Jack, Brian emails into the Equitable Bank inbox. He says, got my first tattoo at 53 years old. It's on his upper right shoulder on his back. And it is, John would hate this. It's like the cool 90s helmet, and then it says Huskers below it, and the font that John always calls chicken scratch, I call it cool.
I like that. I'm against John. I like that font.
Yeah.
I think that's good. That said, I don't want anything, especially as I get into my 50s, or even now, anything that's going to require me to take my shirt off to show it off. I mean, that's mandatory as I get older.
Oh, so you want it to be somewhere where it's just like, that's why the leg works great.
The leg is good because it's covered up for formal events, but
bingo.
But it's easy to show off and not inappropriate to show off in various settings.
Exactly. You're not like Henry Winkler's character. Winkler. I don't know why that was a WR in the Water Boy, where he has a tattoo of Roy Orbison on his butt. Right. He pulls down his pants. I'm struggling with names right now. Let's just go to.
By the way, real quick, Danielle on the chat thinks maybe it's me who doesn't have my fashion sense straight, and that's the problem.
No, these hoodies suck. It's not Jack. I stand with Jack on this one.
The more I look at the Hoiberg one, the more I don't hate it.
Oh God!
Oh, here we go.
Thing.
I don't think I hate the Hoiberg hoodie.
Zoomers have such.
Hold on, I'm going to text my son who's 18. She says high school, college kids. I'm going to text it to him and get his review on it, and we'll come back later with the update.
All right, perfect. So we'll get that update as we roll on. Is Nebraska winning the offseason? Does it matter to win the offseason? We explore that topic when we return. Max Olson joins us in 20 minutes or so as well. It's Unsportsmanlike Conduct, 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center, looks like a stall has the right shoulder blocked on northbound I-29 just after Highway 370. Also, a stall has the right lane blocked on westbound I-80 just after the Missouri River Bridge. And then if you're west on Dodge, you're going to see delays between 680 and 120th. I'm Mike Neville. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Prairie Construction.
Are you or someone you know in the commercial construction business and your job's hit a dead end? Are you ready for a new job with a quality construction company? Well, maybe it's time to make that change, and Prairie Construction might be just right for you. Learn about us at prairie-construction.com.
Give your business a whole host of options with Host Coffee. The most impressive selection of office coffee, water options, healthy food options, and vending technologies. Host Coffee, serving you since 72. Be a part of the Host Coffee team today. If you'd like to work for a trusted and loyal family-owned company that understands the needs of working families, Host Coffee has your opportunity. Apply at hostcoffee.net.
Tell us how you feel on the J-Tech Construction and Solar Zone Twitter feed. Reach Gary, Nick, Connor, Josh, and John anytime on the J-Tech Construction and Solar Zone Twitter feed. Contact the official exterior and solar experts of the Huskers. J-Tech Construction at yourexteriorexperts.com.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call on the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Your 17th ranked Omaha Maverick hockey team hosts the NCHC playoffs for the first time since the opening of Baxter Arena. The Mavs take on the North Dakota Fighting Hawks this Friday and Saturday with a trip to the Frozen Face-Off on the line. All tickets for the playoffs are only $15 and they're going fast. So get your tickets today and let's rock the Baxter. Get your tickets by calling 402-554-MAVS or at omavs.com/tickets.
The postseason makes its annual stop to Madison Square Garden. It's quarterfinal Thursday of the Big East Tournament. The Creighton Blue Jays. Pregame coverage begins at 8 p.m. Tip-off at 8:30. Thursday night on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The Keg.
Let's face it, credit cards are pretty much a necessity.
New tires for the car? Oh, here's my card.
I order takeout, here's my card. And most of us just accept the high interest rates credit cards charge as a necessary evil.
What are you going to do?
Get a low fixed-rate credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream from $5,000 to $100,000 and pay off those credit card balances. Apply online, and you could get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR. But with Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 7.99% APR with autopay and excellent credit.
Now I can pay off my high-interest credit cards and save money with a much lower rate.
Apply today at lightstream.com/radio and get an additional interest rate discount. That's lightstream.com/radio. Lightstream.com/radio.
Subject to credit approval. Rates range from 7.99% APR to 23.99% APR and includes 0.5% autopay discount. Lowest rate requires excellent credit. Terms and conditions apply and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/radio for more information.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no per-ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone.
Alongside virtually Jack Mitchell, I'm Josh Peterson. Nick Grimm producing. It is Unsportsmanlike Conduct on 1620 The Zone. John will be back tomorrow live from MSG. Jack, I looked up Stephen Barry's. I forgot that they closed in 2009. For some reason, I thought they lasted a little bit longer than that. I loved their hoodies.
It was sad.
Yeah.
I still have a couple of them. I actually do.
Do you really?
Yeah. Yeah. I got the funny, you want to hear a hilarious story? Is I bought, because I was so excited when the new defensive coordinator for LSU was coming to coach for Nebraska after he coached in the national championship game, that I bought an LSU
like a
shirt,
purple hoodie?
a purple LSU hoodie from Steve and Barry's. Yes.
Wow, that stuff was so cheap.
It was so cheap. You could go in and just like, what random school do I feel like or team do I feel like buying something from today?
What stuff did you have? What teams did you have?
So I had an Air Force hoodie.
Ooh,
just
Royal
because that
blue.
looks cool, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Like that definitely. There's no way you're going wrong with Air Force. Cool colors, and like nobody's like, man, I hate Air Force, right?
Yeah.
And so that. But the other funny thing is they had like jackets, and they were, and Bishop always talks about this one because I kept it at work and I put it on when our studio was cold, when Bishop and I had our show together. But when I bought it, I was trying to find a team I had like no negative feelings about. and Nebraska was in the Big 12 at the time. So they had Texas and they had Oklahoma. And I'm like, I'm not buying that. I'm definitely not buying that. And go down your lawn, Florida State. I'm not buying that.
Pins and needles of what school this is that you ended up having.
It's a Big 10 team.
Yeah.
It's a Big 10 team.
I hope it's not Wisconsin.
Is it Iowa?
No,
Okay.
it was not. That was not. I would
I
not
had,
have bought
I had a Big 10 hoodie, and it was Michigan State. Was it Michigan State?
It was Michigan State.
Hell yeah, the green. It looked cool.
The green. I liked the color. I had no negative feeling. I had no real feeling about them.
Hey, you're probably a Tom Izzo guy. You're like, he's a good coach.
And so I'd wear it, and I bought it for $9, and I'd wear it around all the time.
Yeah.
What I didn't, and it had a big S right here. But the funny thing was,
did it have like a huge logo on the back?
Yeah,
too?
it had big Michigan State on the back. Yeah, and like
Okay.
pleather or whatever that
Yeah.
was on the
God,
back.
that
It was
material,
really,
yeah.
it was very low quality.
$15.
But I would wear it around. And the funny thing is, one time I went to buy some adult beverages with it on, and it looks, if you're from Lincoln, it looks like same colors, same letter. It looks like a Lincoln Southwest letter jacket.
So they're like, who's this?
And someone thought I had the
17-year-old.
cojones to go into a liquor store wearing my high school letter jacket to buy adult beverages.
Oh my
and
gosh.
they did, and I was like, oh, I turned around and was like, it's Michigan State.
That's
like,
awesome.
well, that's
I had a Michigan State, and I think I had these were hoodies. I think I had a North Carolina hoodie as well, like a baby blue one. And then I also got those stupid shirts that were, like there was one that it was about arguing with your girlfriend. It was like arguments won over time. And it's like the guy was like,
are you kidding? That sounds problematic.
Yeah, I wouldn't wear it now. And then I had another one that it was like this like goofy looking face, and it was about partying in college. I wore it when I was even though I didn't party in college. It was just
you wore dorky shirts like that, like very literal.
Mid-aughts, man, that's what we did back
I stopped
then.
wearing those in like middle school.
I mean,
I guess
that's like the equivalent of having a sign up in your kitchen that says "This mom loves wine" or something. It's
I know,
just,
yeah, live, laugh, love.
Yeah, that's that.
Yeah.
With that. But here, I want to ask you real
I'm
quick.
not proud of everything I've done in life.
Can I ask a sports apparel question? And
Yeah,
I
sure.
want to know if this is an age or an era type thing. And it sounds like you had a little bit too. But was there ever like a desire to have the most random gear, often of colleges, but the most random hats or sweatshirts of certain teams anytime when you were young? Or was that never a thing?
No, like I was one of those dorks that was like, well, Nebraska's bad at basketball, so I'll find a different team. And so I rooted for North Carolina hoops in high school and early college.
You rooted for them. Okay.
Yeah. Now I don't know why I got Michigan State. Now, I guess we did live in Michigan when I was growing up, but I've always liked the Wolverines more than I liked Michigan State. But so that's my guess. Cause I don't have Facebook anymore. There's a picture of me on my old Facebook of me wearing like a Michigan State hat. So like we had Michigan, like I had Western Michigan stuff, but I always.
But it was always teams you generally cheered for.
Yeah.
See, I would wear teams I didn't cheer for all the time.
I think the first time I ever met you, you were wearing, or maybe the second time I ever met you, you were wearing a Washington Nationals baseball hat. Like you came in to the studio where John and I were just shooting the breeze, and you were wearing a Washington hat. I was like, oh, he's a Washington.
I bet I've owned a third of Major League Baseball team hats of the existing
crazy.
teams right now, just because I always and it was a thing too. Well, first of all, I think it started with the starter jackets actually, at least in my school, because the starter jackets got really popular in about 1989, 1990. But the thing was, in school, once one person got a team of the starter jacket, nobody else wanted. You had to get a different team. You could you wanted to be the only one in that school, and so people would start. The more random you could get, the better with these whole things. And so it'd be like, I'm getting an Atlanta Hawks one, or I'm getting a San Jose Sharks one, or something like that. And then you have the combination with that, and like at that time, so many of the hip hop artists were in the videos and on album covers and stuff were wearing gear of
Yankees.
teams. Yeah, and I think it had various reasons they did that, but like even if you watch that Notorious B.I.G. documentary on Netflix now, the very beginning of it, the dude's decked out in a Tommy Freight, one of his guys that he's with is decked out in all Husker stuff.
That's awesome.
Right? And
now that you say that, it reminds me one time, Jack, I went to a concert and I was wearing from Stephen Barry's a Kentucky hoodie and a Yankees hat. And so I met some guy from the band that performed. I don't remember who it was. And he like made fun of me for it. He goes, "Oh man, I bet people around here hate you, huh?" I was like, "Well, probably, but not for this reason." But I did. I had a Florida Marlins hat. I had this white hat with the Florida Marlins logo. I did have a New York Jets visor for some reason.
What the hell?
I would get my dad, like whenever a team would win a Super Bowl, my dad would get us the hats of the team that won the Super Bowl. So I had like a Super Bowl 32 Broncos hat, a Super Bowl 34 Rams hat. I had a Super Bowl 34 Ravens hat. Like, I don't know why we did this, but every year a team would win the Super Bowl and I'd get one of those random ass teams and I'd wear it around like, "Hey, look at me. I got my Rams hat. Even though I'm a Cowboys fan."
There was like sort of an achievement for me when I was between the ages of 13 and 16 to show up and have people say, "Oh, where did you get that? I've never seen that hat before." And you go into Pro Image or Team Spirit in the mall and you'd look for and they would stock just the most random ones and everybody would try and get those.
A couple of texts coming in. Brian says, "Don't let Jack mess with you unless he made it through the 90s without a Big Johnson t-shirt or a co-ed naked t-shirt."
Yes.
Did you have any of that?
No, my family would have, my folks would have not allowed that. But I saw plenty of them.
To wear this hat then from Johnny. He says the white South Carolina hat that just had Cox on it was so popular in the early 2000s. I remember that hat at the College World Series. You go to the CWS in the summer, and people just wearing the hat that says Cox on it.
That's funny.
In about 92, so many dudes were wearing that hat. And there were like three or four other teams that had names that I don't know if they were necessarily dirty, but they were just really weird. The things, and it was that triple bar hat that it was the same thing. I can't remember the other ones people had, but I bet your texters will remember. There were other random schools that had those that were really popular.
Mustache Adam quoting the lead singer for whatever band that was. "I bet everyone around here hates you, huh? Add it to your bio. #evergreen." Yeah, I mean, it really was a sign of my future life. "I bet everyone around here hates you, huh?" Yeah, they do. Just for, not because I'm wearing a random Kentucky hoodie and a
Maybe
Yankees
the whole
hat.
time he was a fortune teller and you just assumed it was because of what you were wearing.
Exactly. Also, Jack, I just remembered I had a Reds hat because I was a Ken Griffey Jr. fan. And I was like, "Oh, man, I'm out on the Mariners. I'm a Cincinnati Reds fan now." For some reason. I also rooted, of course, for the Red Sox and the Royals in my life. So I had hats.
Royals.
I had Royals. I had hats for those teams as well.
I owned my first Royals hat probably just like 12 years ago.
Wow, really?
Like 15 years ago, maybe.
Like a diehard fan.
Yeah, I've owned my first. Yeah, that was the first time I ever. But I owned all kinds of. I owned a Montreal Expos hat. I owned, you name it. I owned a Brewers hat. I owned all of them.
I've got a Burlington Sock Puppets hat.
Oh, yeah, you bought that a couple years ago, right?
I like that one a lot.
Somebody mentioned in the chat too, minor league hats got really popular for a while.
I had this hat, like it was some team from Alaska, like the Alaska Lumberjacks, because I saw the logo and I was like, well, that's a cool hat. And so I bought it, $15, $20. And I wore that.
They would stock
I think I'm
those.
going to get a Portland Pickles hat.
Oh, that'll be fun.
They would stock those in those mall stores. The same thing, because you want to be the only one, like Toledo Mud Hens, and there was one with a catfish on it. I remember that people wanted, and there were a bunch of them.
I had never heard of this before. Brian texts in, taking part of the stitching out of the White Sox hat so that it would say sex was another big 90s hat that frat boys would wear. Jack?
I did not do that. I had someone in my high school, and I'm not going to name who it is, but this person still lives in town. And all I'll say is he used that same thing, but he had a University of Pittsburgh, aka Pitt hat. So he, he changed the first letter.
Oh
my gosh. Josh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
God, I did not expect that.
I thought I was confused as to where you were going with the story. I was waiting for something. Danielle, I think we have triggered Danielle because she writes in again. This goes back to the previous segment. All the cool kids are wearing readers on their hats these days. What is this? I tune in for the sports takes, not for fashion advice from people who have generic old white guy style.
I'm not giving. I mean, I was on the sweatshirts, but I think there were a lot of people who thought that, and that those, by the way, those sweatshirts. I bet generic old white guys love those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
They were very. And by the way, these aren't readers. I unfortunately need something. These are the other one, and I have to take them off to look at my phone or anything. So,
and you are. I mean, that is old white guy stuff. Call my friends at Cougar Vision, Jack. Danielle adds, though, Jack is my favorite guest, but not because of his style. LOL. So there you go. At least.
Thank you. Thank you,
Danielle. Right now.
Thank you. But Danielle, everybody agrees that Hoiberg sweatshirt is weird. My son's working. I haven't heard yet from him, but that'll settle it.
Chris says, before we go to break, we will get to the Matt Rule stuff in a little bit. Says, we went to Colorado for vacation when I was a junior in high school. And my dad got me a hat of Moorhead State that said Moorhead, really big.
That was another one.
My mother was not happy.
Yes, that was
Moorhead State hat.
Yes. Yep. There was a few more. I can't remember them all, but yes.
Yeah, all of the ones that were inappropriate. A couple more before we talk to Max Olson. Mustache Adam says, my random hat collection included the initial Arizona Diamondbacks hats because they had like 4 alternate colors and their logo was sweet. That was a cool logo. And then Amazing Daniel says, I had a hat like this when I was 14 and that my dad got from Tim Burke. Or everyone either thought it was awesome or awful. I went full Sandlot with it and wore it all summer just to completely ruined it. It's the Pittsburgh Pirates hat, Jack. Black bill, yellow hat with like the 3 black lines around it, and then the E in the middle. I think that hat is sweet.
All right, Josh, I just found out. It was on Pinterest is where I found it, but I found a whole gallery.
Oh my goodness. Ball busters.
Yep, of all the Jamestown College Jimmies. That was one of them. Obviously, Oregon State was one of them.
Yes.
Wichita State was one of them.
Hogs.
Oh, and then the Ohio State one that said Woody. That was a big one too.
Man, you want to talk about whoever came up with that idea at the perfect time in our country's history. That guy had to make a fortune. Congrats to him.
That Pinterest site is great. Oh my gosh. Yes, these are all the things that people were wearing.
Lots of nostalgia right now on the radio. All right, when we return, Max Olson will join us. We'll move on from hats. We will talk about the Pac-12. Much like these hats, will the Pac-12 be coming to an end at some point soon? We're going to find out. Also still to come, Jack has looked over the matchups in college basketball. Who are we rooting it for in regards to Nebraska getting into the NIT? We will talk about that as well. A whole lot more content, bet of the day as well. It is Unsportsmanlike Conduct on this Tuesday, 1620, The Zone.
Make every day a getaway in the 2023 Chevy Equinox. Find your new Equinox and experience the Woodhouse difference at Woodhouse Chevy in Missouri Valley. The 2023 Equinox is functional yet simple with easy-to-operate driver controls. There's extra features like rear cargo hidden storage and folding split bench seats that can flip down for Chevy Safety Assist helps make the driving easy and comes standard on every Equinox. And with available switchable all-wheel drive, you driving conditions. With multiple trim options, you can customize your Equinox to fit your personality. The 2023 Chevy Equinox. See Woodhouse Chevy's entire selection and schedule your test drive at woodhousegm.com. You can value your trade, fill out the credit application, and chat with their knowledgeable, friendly staff. Visit Woodhouse Chevy, just off I-29, exit 75 in Missouri Valley, or woodhousegm.com. Chevy, find new roads.
The Connor Happer Show.
No disrespect to Frankie Muniz. Do you think that I could become a good race car driver pretty quickly? I know he's been doing this for all of his life, but I like to consider myself a pretty good driver. I'm an excellent driver. What's so good about Frankie Muniz? Like, how did Frankie Muniz decide he was going to be a NASCAR driver? Is he just a good driver? And those things have manual transmissions, right? Mm-hmm. That'd be tough. I think that'd probably disqualify me.
The Connor Happer Show. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Mostly cloudy with temperatures in the low and mid 40s into this evening. Mainly cloudy tonight. A chance of some light rain, low temperatures in the mid 30s. And then cloudy for Wednesday with some off and on light rain showers, highs in the upper 30s. I am Chief Meteorologist Bill Ranby from KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct, brought to you by a great friend of the program, Union Bank and Trust.
1620 The Zone Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. Heads up, we've got a crash on northbound 680 at Center, causing stop-and-go traffic back from at least I-80. Also a wreck on southbound 144th at Q Street. If you're east on I-80, delays between 84th and 72nd. And then if you're west on Dodge, slow going between 72nd and 78th. And a slight delay on 144th for both directions between 370 and I-80. I'm Mike Neville. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Luss Hills Harley-Davidson.
Riding season is here, and it's time to trade in and trade up. Or, if you ain't riding it, Luss Hills Harley-Davidson is buying it. Sell your Harley-Davidson today. Luss Hills Harley-Davidson. Rise up and ride on.
Since 1878, the dream of the Creighton family was to build a top-ranked educational institution in the finest Jesuit tradition. Over the years, the diverse, famous, and not-so-famous have shaped our society in a variety of ways. 1620 The Zone is proud to be the home of an important part of the Creighton tradition, Blue Jay Athletics. For almost 9,000 students and alumni all over the world, we say, Go Jays on 1620 The Zone.
The Blue Jay Zone is brought to you by Barry Law. We're in it to win it. For the 8th straight year and 23rd out of the last 25 seasons, the Creighton Blue Jays are a 20-win basketball team.
When we were 6-6, I didn't know that 20 was going to be possible, with 19 games left at the time. But, our guys, they really persevered through that difficult time, and we grew during that time, and it's paid dividends as the season's gone on. And, the regular season's over now. It's, it's everybody 0-0, and away we go in New York.
Winning comes without a guarantee. Focus, discipline, and extraordinary effort make winning more likely. Sometimes our greatest wins come from major setbacks. Coming back from a serious injury is a win that requires teamwork. At Barry Law, we're in it to win it.
If you have been seriously injured in an accident, call Barry Law today. 402-999-7777.
Email Unsportsmanlike Conduct on the Equitable Bank Zone Inbox with whatever is on your mind, from your hot takes to what you think is one. The Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone Inbox.
Creighton baseball is home for the first time this season. Listen for live coverage from Charles Schwab Field as the Jays take on the Brigham Young Cougars Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday afternoon. Blue Jay baseball this weekend on 1180 The Zone.
Make the right call, fans. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Rooferees. 1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct is brought to you by Union Bank and Trust. Now back to the program.
Josh Peterson and Jack Mitchell with you on this Tuesday. It is on Sportsmanlike Conduct on 1620 The Zone. John will be back tomorrow from MSG, where he is ahead of the Big East tournament. Let's go to the hotline right now and welcome in good friend of the program from The Athletic, Max Olson. He, along with Stuart Mandel, put up a story on Friday titled Big 12 Looking West, Pac-12 Looking for a TV Deal, What We're Hearing on Realignment. A really good read, and we talk now about the future of both of those leagues and more from college football with Max. Max, what's going on? Thanks for joining us.
Hey, bud. Thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Let's just start with this, with the conference. How did it get this bad this quickly for the Pac-12? And I know the obvious answer, of course, is USC and UCLA and those two teams going to the Big Ten, but it has to be about more than that, right? That now Colorado, among others, could be going to the Big 12 conference?
Yeah, I mean, you can go all the way back to really the duration of the Larry Scott era if you really want to point to where things started heading in a bad direction. And look, to some extent, George Kliavkoff, inherited some real problems there, and certainly losing USC and UCLA was a big issue here that destabilized things and really created this opening for the Big 12, going back to last summer when Brett Yarmark took over for Bob Bowlesby. I think it's really just like it's been so interesting over these, I guess you could say, these 8 months really since the Pac-12 announced that they were going to get an early start on these TV talks. Obviously it's like a very private process, and they're trying to minimize the leaks and not really share a lot publicly with how it's going, but I think every day this process drags on, especially into this month. I just think it creates a lot more tension and perhaps vulnerability for the Pac-12. They need to, George Kliavkoff needs to deliver a deal, presumably with Apple and ESPN or ESPN and Amazon or something. He's got to present a deal here that gets enough money for his members, because if that deal, whether it's the money or the streaming situation or whatever, if it's not satisfactory, I think you've got a situation here where the Big 12 will try to pounce.
Max, obviously we'll talk a lot about the TV part of it, and rightfully so. It factors into these decisions incredibly, but are there other factors, or is it just about the dollar, which conference delivers the most dollars and cents with the TV deals? And if so, what else is motivating the decision?
Yeah, certainly I think that Brett Yormark made a pretty savvy move back in the fall, back in October, when he jumped the Pac-12 in line and also reopened his TV talks way early, and was able to agree to an extension with ESPN and Fox that gets his members more than $31 million a year, which is more than they were getting in their last deal when Texas and Oklahoma were in the conference. I think that kind of set a bar here for what the Pac-12 needed to earn on its next deal. And at the time, you had a lot of Pac-12 folks and insiders who really believed they could beat that number. And look, it's small potatoes relative to the SEC and the Big Ten, obviously, right? But it is important, right? Clearly, we are seeing a lot of jockeying for who's going to be that number 3 conference going forward here, and the Big 12 is trying to capitalize on this opportunity. So I think for the Pac-12, yeah, the dollar figure, as close to 31 million as possible is important, but certainly it's not going to be an all streaming deal, but it can't just be one that you feel like is not got enough linear games, enough games you can turn on your TV and catch. I think it makes sense to take some money from one of these streamers. I think that they're going to have to, because Fox is not interested in this stuff. But it can't be, it can't be too far in that other direction. I think that's a disadvantage for your institutions and your student athletes and their families and stuff like that. So yeah, there's those factors, and then certainly, even if you do get a TV deal together here, you need to get your members to agree to a grant of rights. Even if this is a short-term deal, which I assume it would be, you got to get them to agree to a grant of rights. And obviously, at Oregon and Washington, you probably have more options than the rest.
Max Olson of The Athletic joining us right now on Unsportsmanlike Conduct. I'm happy you mentioned those two teams, Max, because I wanted to ask you about them, because Washington, Oregon, Cal, Stanford, they were noticeably absent from this piece for the obvious reasons that it's more about the 4 corner schools. But I guess I couldn't help but wonder about what their spot is in all of this. 2 of those schools are much more well known for being academic institutions, Cal and Stanford, and then Washington and Oregon. I mean, there's a world where outside of Notre Dame, they're like the real 2 big pieces that are kind of left on the chessboard right now. I guess, what does your reporting show what this could mean for those 4 schools?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly on the Oregon and Washington side, they drive a lot more value to their conference than the rest of the members in terms of this TV deal and the dollar figure there and just sort of what they could fetch. It would make sense if you're at that school to say, if we're going to stay in this league, maybe we should be talking about unequal revenue sharing or things like that. Certainly everyone kind of linked them to the Big Ten when the USC UCLA deal happened in the summer. And, Kevin Warren even dropped hints that maybe they would keep expanding. It didn't seem like last year folks in the Big Ten wanted to make that move. And it's hard to know, will a new commissioner in the Big Ten, look at things differently? I don't know. But certainly, that move is still out there for the Big Ten. If they wanted to go add those schools, I think it would be a pretty easy move on their part for whoever's leading that thing here going forward. So you wonder, is this, these 2 schools, knowing their value, do they want to kind of keep their options open, or will they agree to a grant of rights, presumably, through the rest of the decade to kind of hold this league together? And then, on Cal and Stanford, truly, who knows? I don't think that they, certainly those are 2 schools where, the academics outweigh the athletics in terms of the way they operate. And I think that they probably would look at the Big 12 as being beneath them. I think that you got to remember in the summer of 21, Pac-12 could have, destroyed the Big 12 by adding a bunch of Big 12 schools, and their board did not feel that was worth their time to take, the Texas schools or anybody who was left in the Big 12. So I think that academic mindset is a big piece of this. It'll factor into whether the Pac-12 expands or not if they do stick together. And, I think for Cal and Stanford, it's fascinating to know, like, what makes sense for them. And then obviously Oregon State and Washington State, you hope, like, what does that future look like if this Pac-12 were to get pulled apart?
Talking to Max Olson from The Athletic. We're talking Pac-12, Big 12, what they're going to look like, TV deals. In your piece, you talked a little bit about one of the ways that Big 12 thinks they can maximize their revenue and their position is banking on basketball a little bit. And maybe they'd like to go to the networks and unbundle basketball from football, from the other properties that they've got. Is that something that just other conferences just really haven't looked at? Is that something that the networks and digital, whoever it is reluctant to do? How novel would something like that be?
Yeah, it's a really interesting idea. And it's interesting that Brett Yormark has really been dropping more hints about this publicly, that this is kind of his vision. And look, when you face the challenge that he had to start the job, it's like, okay, we've got to figure out some way. We're losing Texas and Oklahoma. So not only do we have to maintain the money we're at, but we have to find some way to close the gap here with the SEC and the Big Ten. And so, like, how do you grow the revenue as a conference? And so I know that the way he looks at this is that, look, the Big 12, is at this point the best basketball league in men's basketball. And they're going to add number one Houston to it next year in addition to their new members. And so they feel like that is one of their big strengths moving forward, is that it's, as a 12-team league after Texas and Oklahoma are gone, it's a hell of a basketball league. And they feel like there's opportunities there to double down on that advantage. And that's why they're talking to Gonzaga. And that's why, like, it wouldn't really surprise me if they were even looking at some Big East schools down the road here, depending on how this Pac-12 stuff plays out, because I think they know, if you could add Gonzaga, heck, if you can add Arizona in this deal, and really kind of just lean into that thing you're very, very good at. Like, I think he does feel basketball rights are undervalued, and that there's an opportunity here in 2030 to unbundle it, sell it separately for more money, and even maybe to some new partners like Turner, and have an opportunity to really kind of help close that gap a little bit by taking their strength and really doubling down on it.
Max Olson joining us on Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Max, what is the timeline, do you think, of all of this as to when we could really get some good answers, some hard answers, I guess?
Yeah, this week in Las Vegas, the Pac-12 has its basketball tournament. I know George Kliavkoff will be meeting and briefing people on the status of the TV deal. I think people are going to expect some answers and some hard numbers, and really like a reality check on what's going on here this week. I think that do I think like a Pac-12 TV deal gets done this week? No, I'd be surprised if that happens. I think this will kind of, probably continue to play out over the rest of the month here. But it just depends on, when they can get, real offers in front of the Pac-12 board here about here's what ESPN and Apple or Amazon or whoever else they're dealing with are bringing to the table here. I think that's really the domino that everybody's waiting on here. And frankly, I think the Big 12 probably will pursue expansion with or without Pac-12 schools, but that's certainly, what's holding them up right now with Gonzaga and maybe other things they'd be looking at is, do we have a chance to add these schools from the Pac-12? And so, yeah, everybody's kind of waiting on Kliavkoff to, finish up these negotiations and bring it off to the table. And then I'm sure Brett Yormark is whatever that offer may be, I'm sure he's prepared to try to convince those schools that it's not good enough.
A broader question for you, Max, and you talked a little bit about looking at digital platforms, more non-traditional platforms, which other sports have done. If and when, especially college football, moves into that with some more valuable properties, how much is that going to impact, the experience of you and I actually on a Saturday watching college football? Is that so ingrained, do you think, in everything that we already watch? I mean, you go to, ESPN Plus or something like that it all kind of feels the same? Or do you think that'll have kind of a profound change in the user experience when that starts to become a bigger thing?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's a bigger question, obviously, than just college football. But I mean, let's start with this. Currently, I cannot get the Pac-12 network as a subscriber to YouTube TV.
Me neither.
If the Pac-12 network, and there was some big games last year, like USC Oregon State, that were on that network that you just had to find a legal stream to watch. For me, so literally anybody else distributing the Pac-12 network would be an improvement from their current situation. There's nowhere to go but up with that problem they have. But certainly, I think that people have always kind of pointed to this as maybe these guys will step in here and throw some big money around. And I think that for Apple or Amazon, it's way more strategic in terms of what adds value for them, what makes sense for them. I know we've reported that, Amazon has maybe liked the idea of a Friday night Pac-12 game since it's got the Thursday night NFL game. It's got to kind of fit in their catalog and kind of the way they want to do things strategically. But no, you're right. I don't think, I'm somebody who kind of probably subscribes to too many of these things, and
Same.
have Apple and have Amazon and all that. So, I think we're probably over time getting kind of trained and used to be, flipping around a little bit.
Yeah.
But I remember there was a Thursday night early in the season this last fall where I think I went to a sports bar with somebody and they didn't even know how to turn on the Thursday night NFL game because they're TV, Amazon or whatever. So there's still kind of that. We're all still kind of adjusting to that. It's becoming more normalized, and certainly you wonder how much of that is going to be free or paywall, if they were to go with Apple. But it will be an adjustment, and I think that's something that at this point the Pac-12 just needs to take as much money as they can get and kind of reckon with that afterwards.
Max Olson of The Athletic, recommend reading that story and all of his other great work there on the website. Max, we really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
How about the reference to that Oregon State USC game?
Oh my gosh.
What a game.
Josh
God,
will pick.
that's a great game.
Josh, you were great to do that interview because you care a lot about the Pac-12.
Hell yeah, I do. I'm gonna miss this league when it's dead.
You will
league.
Hey, hold on. But he did say one thing, and I assume this has been floated at least out there somewhere. But did you hear him saying if the Big 12 realizes that they're really going to be able to add value by making their basketball product basically the best one in the country, and they're willing to look at basketball only schools.
Gonzaga, and he said Big East.
In the Big East. Let's see which Big East team would fit in the footprint way better than any of the other ones.
Yeah, it's Creighton, obviously.
Yeah, I have no idea what they're. But if I'm the Big 12 and
dude, that would be
I'm going down that road, I think I'm making that call, right?
If you're truly into so what are they adding them for? Just hoops, or is it just all of the non-football sports? So basically,
what are they doing with Gonzaga? I would say whatever you do with Gonzaga, basically.
You do that with
right, because Gonzaga would compete in. Gonzaga competes in obviously men's and women's basketball. They've got baseball. They've got volleyball.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about all the Olympic sports. Those kind of vary school to school, though. But I would imagine it'd be a similar situation at Creighton, right?
Yeah, that would be. You want to talk about just a stunner of a move, and I guess the positive, just talking it out for a second, a positive for Creighton would be, in theory, you get more money just because the conference does have football, and it, of course, would not be an equal revenue sharing platform in that regard because Creighton doesn't have football, so they're not going to get the football money.
Yeah,
but I guess in
still
theory,
might be more though.
Could it be worth more?
Yeah. That conference in basketball, if that scenario plays out, right? Let's say they get the four corners, okay.
And that's Arizona State, Utah, and Colorado.
And then let's say, and they're already bringing in Houston.
Yep.
And let's say they do.
Well, and they already got Houston, Cincinnati, UCF, and BYU joining. So they're going to be at 12. The four corner schools would make it 16.
Yes. And then let's say you want to add Gonzaga, and you need one more. You need one more to make it an even number, but a basketball only school. And I mean, you're already making your footprint kind of in the West at this point, so it's not like you want to go too far, right?
Yeah.
But
it would give you a lot of travel partners in that part of the country.
Man, if you're dividing into pods, I could see a Creighton, Lawrence, Manhattan, Ames type situation.
Man. It's so funny because often when we talk about realignment, we'll be like, I just can't wait for this stuff to kind of end and settle. And the answer is always it's never going to settle. College football is about to change pretty radically. This is going to be the last year without a 12-team playoff, USC and UCLA are still on the West Coast, yada, yada, yada. And then things are going to change a ton. And it's going to happen overnight, and we're probably just going to keep seeing changes over and over and over again.
The second time I've tried to sort of speculate, which I can't do what Creighton fans feel like, but I wonder if they're like right away, they're like, no way, love the Big East. The Big East, it's got all this tradition. Stick with that. Or if they're like, it would be nice to have something that's a little bit travelable, right? And that is going to be a really good conference, and it might mean more money. I wonder what the gut reaction is. Again, I'm just saying, if I'm the Big 12 and you're going down that road and you are looking at the Big East, I can't believe you wouldn't make that call.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. By the way, Northern Colorado taking on Nebraska right now. Ooh. The Skurs are up 4-0 on Northern Colorado.
Ooh, I'm going to turn that on.
No, don't do it. Remember the internet. Your internet. Don't do it.
It all works now. It's great.
It's been so good today. There was a point earlier.
There was.
Where
it was getting a little jittery.
You got a little blurpy, and then I was like, oh, God, is Jack about to be 5 seconds behind me?
No,
but you're not.
You know what?
You're
I pay good money for this Big 10 Plus subscription, okay? And we are going to use
you don't have HBO Max. You don't get to watch the good Sunday night shows. So you can watch Nebraska and Northern Colorado.
Put it on the short-term list. Jack Mitchell says his internet works perfect now.
Oh, God. All right. Well, we only have an hour and 25 minutes left in the show. So
get the small eggs.
Get the baby eggs.
Baby eggs.
The baby eggs.
Quail eggs.
Still to come. We're running out of time, Jack. We have so many topics that we wanted to get to. We're going to have to start eliminating things and removing them from the board. I did want to talk to you, though, about Nebraska winning the offseason, and perhaps a mea culpa about Nebraska basketball. Will I apologize to Jack Mitchell in the happy hour?
Ooh.
Find out.
Appreciate that.
That would be the first apology ever. Find out if I apologize to Jack. We'll do that in a little bit. He's in today for John Bishop, and he just turned on the baseball game, so his internet is probably about to crap out.
Not yet.
It is Unsportsmanlike Conduct here on 1620 The Zone. Hey, everyone. Josh Peterson for my friends at Miracle Hill Golf and Tennis, just a couple of days away now from one of their free golf workshops, and you can go to their website and get signed up. MiracleHillGolf.com. They have a few of these bad boys over the next week. They have one coming up on Thursday. They have another coming up Saturday morning at 9:30. Still some spots available there. And then they have one that is a week from yesterday, next Monday. Of course, just north of Dodge on 120th Street. Mike Favre has done great work with me over the years. Him and now Jonathan Melke as well. They are helping you find that swing of yours and improve overall. Learn about the pathway to play better golf. I've told the story before about getting invites from friends. Hey, we're going to play an 18 this weekend. Would you like to come? No, I would say. I'll meet you for lunch, though. I'll meet you afterwards. Just didn't feel comfortable out there on the course. They don't want you to go out onto the golf course not feeling confident in your swing, in your ability to do the basics of golf. Check out this free golf workshop and then schedule a lesson so you can play better golf as they change the way that they are teaching there, and they can help you get better and enjoy it more than you ever have before. I have my first lesson next week. Cannot wait for that. They are located just north of Dodge on 120th Street, Miracle Hill Golf and Tennis.
The best way to catch all the action is on 1620 The Zone. And no line for the bathroom.
You know a high school senior who'd like a $12,000 college scholarship? Well, be sure to tell them that the Salvation Army is now seeking nominations for the DJ's Hero Award scholarships. We're looking for Nebraska high school seniors who have overcome adversity and who are doing the most good in their communities. The application deadline is March 8th. Nominate your hero today. Just go to djsheroapp.org for more information. That's djsheroapp.org. djsheroapp.org.
There are 31 days in March, and you can save $31 per month every month at JenesisHealthClubs.com. If you don't get started on your fitness goals today, then when? Tomorrow, next week, next month, next year? Life's too short for that. Genesis Health Clubs is here all month, giving you 31 reasons to get started towards your summer fitness goals now, not later. Reason number 1. Abs like to sleep in. You have to start waking them up now if you want them to show themselves in the summer. Reason number 2. The safest, most sustainable weight loss is 1 to 2 pounds per week. The earlier you start, the farther you'll go. Reason number 3. If it is to be, it is up to me. Reason number 4. Results may take time, but you'll get blasted with endorphins and feel better today. Reason number 5. Because your health is worth it. 31 days in March, 31 reasons to get started today, and $31 to save every month when you get started at Genesis Health Clubs. Whatever your reason, go to genesishealthclubs.com today to get started.
Ready to revolutionize your home's look? Smash those outdated windows and upgrade with J-Tech Construction, the official exterior and solar experts of the Huskers. For a limited time, qualified buyers enjoy no payments and 0 interest for a year. Plus, receive a free triple paint upgrade. Trust the best in the business and see why so many homeowners choose us. Contact us now and take the first step toward a stunning home transformation. The official exterior and solar experts of the Huskers, J-Tech Construction, your exterior experts.
This March, take your first shot at college hoops with FanDuel Sportsbook and get 10 times. Yeah, put 2 hands in the air. 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets up to $200. That's right. Just bet $20 on the bracket and you'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's $200 you can spend betting everything from the money line to point spreads and even checking out that 5 versus 12 or 6 versus 11 seed matchup you've been eyeing for a long time.
That's right. You've been seeing that all the time, all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. There's no better place to bet the tournament than FanDuel Sportsbook. Sign up today by going to FanDuel.com. Use the promo code ZONE and make every moment more with FanDuel all tournament long. 21 plus and present in Iowa. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issues as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $22 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
The Ancient Order of Hibernians' annual St. Patrick's Day celebration is Saturday, March 11th, with the parade through Omaha's Old Market beginning at 10 a.m. Immediately following the parade, don't miss the fabulous party at Annie's Irish Pub, 11th and Capitol. Delicious food, libations, Irish dancers, and music. Parking is available at 10th and Jackson and 15th and Douglas, courtesy of Park Omaha. Sponsored in part by attorney Maureen Monahan, Maloney's Irish Pub, and 1620 The Zone.
Hi, this is Garen Armstrong with Shamrock Roofing and Construction. That small roofing company my father started 45 years ago has now become one of the largest roofing companies in America by following one rule, the golden rule. No one can install a better roof at a better price, a better warranty than Shamrock Roofing and Construction. Let our local family serve your family. Shamrock Roofing and Construction. Call today or visit us online at shamrockroofer.com.
This is Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson.
So he's got the man's junk in his hands.
The 1620, The Zone.
Josh Peterson and Jack Mitchell with you. It is Unsportsmanlike Conduct on 1620 The Zone. Jordan writes on YouTube, remember when the Big 12 was on the verge of dissolving just a short 13 years ago? And Jack, Max Olson mentioned it last segment that a couple of years ago, the Pac-12 could have grabbed teams to join their league, and they didn't. They made a mistake, and now they find themselves in this crazy, tenuous situation. It's absolutely wild how our opinions on which leagues were destined to fail versus which ones were destined to survive have changed a whole lot outside of course, the SEC and the Big Ten.
Yeah, if you didn't have accurate foresight in this whole game over the last, like you said, 13 15 years, you are, which was really hard to do. I definitely didn't either. I thought the Big 12 was done. I was kind of the same way when things were just blowing up. those months after Nebraska left, but things kept happening that benefited them, and now another potential one is about to happen as well. And if they do that, they're going to be looking as decent. And Oklahoma and Texas intervened in between that. I mean, that's the crazy part. Like, we thought they were going to be done even when Oklahoma and Texas were still there.
Yeah, and remember, I mean, going back 13 years ago, that summer of 2010 and 2011, when it seemed like Texas, Oklahoma, I think Oklahoma State, Texas A&M, all these schools, they're going west. They're going to go to the Pac-12.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, those schools, and that's, darn near 15 years ago now.
They were the buyer. The buyer became the seller.
Yeah, seriously. And they are selling right now. Zach writes into the Equitable Bank inbox. He says, I think the smart move by the Big 12 would be to add Colorado and Arizona rather than adding all 4 of the 4 corner schools. Then with the added instability of the Pac-12, go after Oregon and Washington to get their conference to 16 teams. Those 2 teams, and I mentioned 4 of them in one question to Max last segment, Washington, Oregon, and then Cal and Stanford. And again, they are not really in this story at all. I think there's a passing mention of maybe one of them, because the story is, again, it's about the 4 corner schools, both Arizona schools, Utah and Colorado. But what power Washington and Oregon has, and how I guess that kind of changes too if and when certain schools leave. I know we spent a lot of time over the last year, almost a year now, talking about, well, what about them in the Big Ten Conference with Kevin Warren no longer running the league, Jack? It seems like that is not as much in the cards as it potentially was. But those 2 schools outside of Notre Dame, I would say, are the biggest gets. And there are big gets in the ACC, but they're just locked into the grant of rights for so long that it's just hard for me to even be like, well, North Carolina, because I think they could be valuable, but they're just not right now because of the contract situation with their league.
And how big was it for Nebraska not to have a single secondary state school that you were dealing with and thinking about all of the time? Because that's also huge. I'm not saying that Washington is going to always stay with Washington State, but you can't deny, I mean, Texas A&M, all of those had big impacts on the decisions, and you weren't able to be as kind of deft about making them because people in state legislatures threatened to get involved. You had your own fans that liked the rivalries and liked having those 2, and you kind of wanted it as a university. Nebraska didn't have to mess with that, right, at all. And that's why they were a part of the reason. If there was a Nebraska State, it wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have happened as quickly.
Well, think about it. Like, A&M left Texas, and now Texas is rejoining them, and A&M fans feel like they kind of, are going to be able to hold this over their heads. We're wondering about Oregon and Oregon State. What you just mentioned, Washington and Washington. I mean, think about the fact that Bedlam is ending. I know that this shouldn't really surprise us. We've seen so many rivalries now end over the last, 15 years. But the fact that Oklahoma and Oklahoma State won't be playing anymore.
When it's in the state, within the state, man.
Yeah, it's just, it's there has been some positives from realignment, and then there's just been a bunch of huge negatives. And the loss of a lot of these rivalries, I would, just the regionality disappearing and, relationships just kind of ending. It's just, at least in the NFL, when they have, messed around with divisions, at least you're still under the same roof and you're still going to play each other eventually. We're finally going to see Texas and Texas A&M play again on the football field next year, but it's taken, over a decade to get there.
And it just reiterates to me, Josh, something that you've talked about before, how this is like the one final year of so many things for college football. This is the last year of sort of this transition era, and a lot of that stuff goes away, from the playoff format to the conference to the mega conferences, and some of those matchups and that you were talking about. They all go away, and this year's just going to be a big transition.
Yeah, it's gonna be a goodbye in a sense to one version of college football. All right, when we return, it'll be time for the happy hour. Do I owe Jack a mea culpa about something? I think I might. Yeah,
I don't know what this is. I'm very excited about it, though.
Yeah, so we'll do that. Optimism about the future of Nebraska basketball for Jack. We can talk about that as well. Plus some football odds and ends. We have not, Jack, talked about the Iowa situation today. We need to get into that.
Oh, yes.
We're running out of time. We only have an hour and 12 minutes left in the show. I know.
Hour.
We've had too much fun today. We've had too much fun. We've talked about
too much fashion talk.
Stephenberries and goofy shirts, and the one that I had about men and women arguing and losing in arguments. Hey, the mid-odds. It was an odd time. All right, happy hour when we return. He's Jack Mitchell. I'm Josh Peterson. Nick Grimm producing. You're on 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. Heads up, we've got a crash with injuries on southbound 156th at Harrison. Also a wreck on the exit ramp from northbound 680 to I-80. If you're east on I-80, delays between 84th and 72nd. If you're west on I-80, delays between 84th and 96th. And then also a wreck on Pacific at 204th. I'm Mike Neville. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Everyone knows Saul's pays top dollar for your gold, but Saul's pays cash on the spot for your precious metals too. Silver, gold, platinum, coins, bars. Who wants to wait to get paid? Get to Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Saul's Jewelry and Loan. You'll find it all at Saul's Jewelry.
Breaking news.
Tax refund shock is everywhere, but what is it?
My tax refund shrank.
Mine too. The culprit? Pandemic-related stimulus payments and tax credits expiring. In this reporter's opinion, you need a tax expert.
Hey guys, Jackson Hewitt guarantees your biggest refund.
And tax prep is 50% off? Going there now.
50% off is a limited time offer for new clients filing at participating locations. Max value $200. Visit jacksonhewitt.com/50 for terms.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
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 Babbel, évidemment. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
You don't have to wait for the weekend for brunch. Delicious breakfast and lunch items are served daily. Get to Early Bird Brunch today in the Blackstone District, Shadow Lake Town Center, and Regency Landing. Early Bird offers a variety of fun pancakes, eggs, Benedicts, omelets, and beverages, including a full breakfast cocktail menu. Dine in or carry out is available. For more menu info, go to earlybirdbrunch.com. Early Bird Brunch, where the early bird gets the pancake. In a hurry? Try Early Bird Blackstone for takeout.
Email us on the Equitable inbox with whatever is on your mind. The Zone inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. You can hit me up, agree, disagree, tell me your thoughts on life at Hanley at 1620thezone.com. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox.
The postseason makes its annual stop to Madison Square Garden. It's quarterfinal Thursday of the Big East Tournament. The Creighton Blue Jays. Pre-game coverage begins at 8 p.m. Tip-off at 8:30. Thursday night on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The Keg.
Tell us how you feel on the J-Tech Construction and Solar Zone Twitter feed. Reach Gary, Nick, Connor, Josh, and John anytime on the J-Tech Construction and Solar Zone Twitter feed. Contact the official exterior and solar experts of the Huskers. J-Tech Construction at yourexteriorexperts.com.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no per ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone.
It'd be nice to have a pro.
Throw.
It would be nice to have a pro.
Throw.
It would be nice to have a pro.
Throw.
It would be nice to have a pro.
Throw.
It would be nice to have a pro.
Throw.
It would be nice to have a pro.
Throw.
It would be nice to have a pro.
Throw.
It would be nice to have a pro.
Throw.
From your mom.
The happy hour is on the air. Josh Peterson, Jack Mitchell, Nick Grimm on this Tuesday. If you've missed any of the show, we've had lively discussions about fashion. Michael Brunt stopped by. Max Olson stopped by. Jack, I got a text from Riss earlier in the show. This was during the crossover and said, you sounded like a boomer when you were complaining about video games. Back when Nick was talking about I was a boomer, not you.
Oh, you? I thought you saying I did.
No, the monoculture is video games, and the look on my face and the disgust in my voice. She said that I
video game, like specifically Fortnite, not just video.
If that's
games.
the monoculture sucks ass.
You know what?
I'm not a fan.
But
the older generation thinks the younger generation's monoculture sucks.
Yeah, it does.
I don't though. I'm the cool one. I think I'm the cool one in this room right now.
You want to do blocks or whatever?
Roblox.
But I watched
brother.
again 4 years of watching my son's generation get really into Fortnite. I would try it every once in a while. I was terrible, so I got determined to get good at it.
Yeah,
because I was tired of being so terrible at it, and it was such a big deal. And I got like decent at it, okay at it, and now sometimes need to blow off a little stress. I'm not gonna lie, I'll go down. Usually I have to download a freaking 20-minute update, but other than that,
the worst.
Other than that, because I only play every like month or two. But
I've been playing with my little brother. I have an Indiana Jones skin that I use.
Cool,
it's hilarious.
I started playing Mario Kart
I'll
lately.
Snipe you. Snipe you. Yeah, I will. I said it. I will.
Wow, violence. Yeah,
my little brother and I are gonna have to team up on Jack.
I just throw turtle shells at people while I drive.
Johnny and me will take you on. Let's go.
Oh,
so yeah, more discussions like this earlier. We had a great crossover. It was like a half hour with Happer, so that was a whole lot of fun. And we talked a bunch of other stuff as well. There are so many topics that we're not going to get to today. We could have included them, I guess, in content, but we already have written out. Nick's already written out the Unsportsmanlike content questions.
Already done. Can't do it.
Okay. Find the best thing and let's get going on it then.
Well, here I want to apologize to you, and here's why.
Oh, we could skip back.
You know what? Maybe I don't need to apologize to you. So here,
why?
Let's talk this out. Let's talk this out. So you remember how after the Michigan State loss last week, you're like, this is the worst loss of my lifetime. And I was like, Jesus, they lost to Michigan State. No! Basically, that's what, here was Jack.
This is the worst. This is the worst.
And I was like, it's a bad Nebraska basketball team losing to Michigan State. But Jack was like,
no, I'm devastated.
I'm like, who cares? And then, so you and I were sniping a little bit on Twitter. We read some of your tweets on the air, yada, yada, yada. Well, now, if they would have won that game, I wonder if we're having a different conversation about them in the NCAA tournament after they beat Iowa. But Brunt said no, they still would have to go 5-0. So I don't know if I should apologize or not. Do I owe you an apology?
Well, first of all, I don't even know if they have to go 5-0 now. To be totally honest,
are you serious?
I think it might get interesting if they got to Saturday or Sunday.
Okay.
Don't you?
No, because they're so low in the net. So I guess so who would they beat along the way?
Okay, you'd beat Minnesota. That's huge.
And probably in Maryland.
Right? And
Maryland?
then most likely Indiana.
Okay.
And then I think probably Northwestern is next. If I'm remembering the bracket correctly.
Where's Northwestern?
But it could be. I mean, with the way that tournament goes, it could be anyone.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, obviously, if they win the whole thing, they're in because that's what happens. Northwestern's 38th. I just don't know if the conference is good enough where, like, going 4-1 or, I mean, what you said, the first one you said was 3-1, right? Like you said Friday, or did you say
Get to
they
Saturday? No, I
Saturday?
said get to Saturday.
So that'd be 3-1.
I think things
go 3-1
and it's going to depend what happens with other bubble teams for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm certainly not saying it would be any, but I think I'll say this. I think if they got to Saturday and you went to that bracket matrix website, you might find
showing up.
You might find a couple of random brackets with them on it. Maybe.
So when you look back at this season, what regrets do you have for the team? Like for example, this loss to Michigan State with the benefit. I mean, you were bummed in the moment, but with the benefit of hindsight, you do wonder what a W would have added to their resume. What other regrets do you have for this team in terms of, I mean, the Purdue game, obviously.
100%. That's by far the biggest. It's almost the best win you could possibly get, except it was at home. But a top, I don't know what they actually are down now because they lost a few, but at least the number one team for a portion of the season.
They're currently sitting at 5 in the net rankings.
All right, 5 in the net rankings.
Wow.
With a possibility of going up some more. Yeah, that one, adding on about the best win that you can add on to the current resume would make things feel really different. To the extent you're interested in the NIT, that would be a done deal now.
Yeah.
And maybe people don't care a whole lot about that. But it adds one more moment to what we've talked about before, having been just a great series of moments. So that's the biggest one. Every game they win, I get really excited, and then about a half hour later, I think, oh, what if they had beaten Purdue and this had all happened?
What about, okay, so we just kind of ran through some games that if they would have won right now, we're having a different discussion. What about like roster decisions? Because like yesterday, we gave our regular season grades for all 6 of the local teams, men's and women's basketball for Nebraska, Creighton, and Omaha. And one of as John laid his out, and he gave them a B+, I think. He gave Nebraska a B+. One of the positives, of course, is what they have done since the injuries. One of the negatives was that it kind of took the injuries for this team maybe to find themselves in a different way. Like Casey, for example, and what he has turned into, and some of the other players on the roster and what they have turned into. When you think back to the beginning of the year and the middle portion of the year, is there something that they could have done differently that would have maybe resulted in more wins? Or did it actually take the injuries? Did they need those injuries to kind of find the roster in this way?
I'm not sure if it would have resulted in more wins, but I mean, even in the moment, I was saying a lot, how can you not figure out a way for Keisei Tominaga to get more minutes and more shots?
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it, Josh, this is still as big of an explosion of Keisei mania as there's been over the last few weeks. Like, it really just started a month ago, right?
It did. Yeah, you go back.
Before that,
the Penn State game, right? That's where it began when he had 30.
Probably. What was the game?
Northwestern, he had 22, but after that against Maryland in the loss, he only had 3 points in 22 minutes.
Yeah, that Northwestern game, that was when and that was also the game Hoiberg started playing too.
Well, and Jack, real quick before you get going again, the Penn State game that I mentioned with 30 points, that's the first time. Let's see. It was the second time all year he had played at least 30 minutes.
Yeah.
The previous time was against Northwestern a couple of games before that. Otherwise, it's always 29 or fewer. And I mean, dude, you scroll back and you're finding games where he's playing 10 minutes, 14 minutes, 12 minutes, 12 minutes. He played 12 minutes in the overtime win against Minnesota back on January 7th.
It's crazy to even think of, like, people will forget that actually happened. And it's not only that he didn't play a lot of minutes. It was like they struggled to find, even when he was in, he's in there to be a scorer primarily, but they struggled to find ways to get him shots very often.
Yeah.
And so that I always kind of wonder, had that not taken as long and that was an option that other teams had to think about a little bit more, how different things would have been. So that's my biggest one personnel wise.
What about Jamarcus Lawrence?
Yeah.
I mean, again, his game log, it's not as eye-popping as Casey's, But, he's I'm just running through the most recent games. 15 points, 11 points, 1, 5, 11, 3, 11, 5, 7, 12. And then before that, it's basically every game before that, except for one, is in the single digits. And his minutes, it's a similar trajectory as K-State. It's just with lesser minutes on the front end, 5 minutes, 1 minute, 5, 9. And then lately, though, 27, 33, 30, 18, 28. And I mean, every time I watch him play, I think, wow, this guy's got some talent. He certainly has something to him. And you wonder, where was he earlier on?
You think about the games when they were kind of in offensive funks, the St. John's game, especially when Banamel was still healthy. And I think he's probably the guy who was blocking Lawrence from getting a lot of the minutes. Those are the scenarios where you think about him, because he was really good against Iowa. Man, he's been impressive especially the last couple of weeks of the season as well. Yeah. And again, the same thing, like the Sam Hoiberg thing. Honestly,
yeah. I guess I could pull up his numbers too.
Like, he's been, did nobody know he had this in him? He's been a really good defender. He's been getting steals all over the place. He's the proverbial cliched hustle guy who's the coach's son, but he has been, and it's made differences in games all year. And he didn't play at all,
dude,
until Northwestern.
So he had played in 9 games before Northwestern in a combined, good Lord, I mean, this is going to be really easy math. He played, I think it's 12 minutes if I add it up correctly. Total? In 9 games, he played 12 minutes total. In those 9 games, he scored 7 points total. He scored 6 against Northwestern. Yeah, exactly. And then since then, 18 minutes is what he started with versus Northwestern. The floor in all those games since then is 11 versus Illinois in the loss on the last day of January. That's the only time in this stretch, by the way, where he didn't score any points. He went 0 for 1 from the field. Right. Only had one. That's easily his worst game. Otherwise, double digits twice. He's probably averaging in this stretch. I mean, it's about 5, 6, 7 points per game, somewhere in there. And again, he's another guy that had not been playing until the injuries.
And Josh, legit key plays in like 3 of the last 4 wins, probably 3 of these last 4 huge wins. Iowa, Maryland, Wisconsin, all of those having huge key plays. Is this?
Well, he's not just getting minutes. He's like you said. The takeaway, the steal that he had at the end.
They don't beat Maryland without him.
With what he did there.
Is this the worst case of reverse nepotism we've ever seen in our lives?
Because you asked the question, why haven't we seen him? There's a part of me that wonders, did that play in the back of his head at all? Because he seems like a solid player. He's getting minutes, and he's not just a waste of space out on the floor.
What he's done is impressive. I watched him a lot in high school, and he was a good high school player. He was a good high school player that you would have thought probably was going to end up being a pretty good player at, Doane or Nebraska Wesleyan. That's what I thought. And I obviously was wrong, but that's what I thought, just the kind of the way he and his brother quit basketball. I mean, he went to TCU, and I think he's studying pre-law right now at this point.
Crazy. Matthew says Nebraska is one of the hottest teams right now, and they have a better shot at the NCAA tournament right now than they did at the NIT in early January. So he's basically saying, as far as they were away from the NIT, they're actually closer to the dance right now than they were at that point in time.
It's either 5 or 4, probably 5 or, I don't know, 3 wins, maybe 4 wins would do it. I don't know.
At what point would you said that you still think there's a chance without having to win the whole thing. At what point, though, this week, would you really start being like, I'm going to be devastated if they don't make it? Is it, do they have to get to Sunday, or do you think by Saturday you'd be like, holy crap?
Man, if they would have that third day, Indiana, for whatever reason, even though they've slumped a little bit lately, I mean, Iowa beat the crap out of Indiana in Assembly Hall, but there's something about Indiana and Trace Jackson Davis and the matchup that I feel like if they would get through Maryland, that was one I did not want. I did not want Purdue, and number 2, I did not want Indiana, or I wanted them as late as possible. They might get knocked out. So I would say if they would win, if they would get to that one and win, yeah, that would be the spot. Because I've won right or wrong, I could eat my words on this, but if they get another shot at Northwestern, I want them to have another shot at Northwestern. That was maybe their worst game of the year. And it's still just hard to believe. It's still just hard to believe. And I know this is my own bias. It's still just hard to believe Northwestern is that good, which I'm sure people are saying about Nebraska.
Yeah, Matthew says after Thursday, Jack is going nuts. Yeah, I'm with him. I think you're
probably right.
So if they make it to Friday, it's they're basically going to play the same time slot the whole week if they win until Saturday, right? It'd be another late night game if they make it to Friday.
Yeah, it's all 8 o'clock.
And then Saturday it's like mid-afternoon, and then Sunday is mid-afternoon. Matt says if Nebraska doesn't win the Big Ten tournament, there's no way they're going to be near the NCAA tournament.
I think that might be. I don't know. I think, like I said, I think you get to Saturday and you start showing up maybe on a few of those projection brackets, and if you get to Sunday and lose, I don't think it's a 0% chance. I'm not saying it's even likely, but I wouldn't say there's no way they're going to be near if they would get to all the way to Sunday. Do you think that I don't know. Do I have rose-colored glasses on when I say that?
A couple of comments. Whopper says the committee basically has the field locked in on Friday and just adjust based on stolen bids after that. So Friday and Saturday games wouldn't really matter. And an email in the Equitable Bank inbox from Drew says, I'm a J-Screw, but come on, barring a Big Ten title, no chance. Committee factors in conference semis and finals 0. Yeah, I am with them. I think they have to win the whole thing.
I could be wrong. I'm just going by what I've heard from people who know it better than me, but these guys obviously know it better than all of us. So
let me ask you this, and this is more of a big picture question. And I know that you and I have kind of talked about this a lot over the last few weeks, but like your optimism now about the future. You know, I was listening to the conversation that you had with Dirk yesterday, and he said something like, kind of like, this should carry over, like this has to carry over. And I think he is right in one way. And like, of all of the seasons that Fred has had, this is definitely going to be the one with the happiest finish, and thus players, and let's put Casey, I guess, off the table for now. You would figure that they're going to want to come back. Whereas the last few years ended in such a hellscape that it made sense that everyone wanted to transfer. And so I wonder where your optimism is at for the future, or as we keep talking about whenever this comes up, is this like not solely, but 90 whatever % based on Casey, and then everything else?
No, it's not. I mean, that's a big part of it. But like I told you and John yesterday, I feel like I'm sort of making the assumption he's not coming back now, and I guess I'll be surprised, and it'll be a pleasant surprise if he does. But I do think the rest of the roster, how much stability, maybe with an exception or two, but how much stability they can keep with the rest of the roster. If they can do that, yeah, I will see. Yeah, I absolutely. I think they're going to have some baked in confidence, experience. I think there'll be some more excitement than there's been going into a season for a while. I think that'll all be bleed over from this year, and it'll affect them positively. The question is there going to be enough to replace Walker and Sam Griesel? And they still didn't, probably do enough this year to get to what the fan base would really like to see, which is get into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, the discussion we're having right now, instead of it, they got to get to Sunday. If we're like, hey, win 2 games, can they make it to? Well, I guess in this world they wouldn't be playing on Wednesday, but if they're like, hey, can you win one more game? Can you make it to Friday? Or you're starting on Friday, can you make it to Saturday? Or even you enter the game on Friday like they did in 2014, and you have no questions whatsoever. Could they get to a spot like that? Brian Texan, as a Nebraska basketball fan, I'm fully expecting the groin kick tomorrow night. Yeah, there's
that could happen too.
There's all this time on this, and then they're going to lose.
There's definitely the Big Ten, outside of that 1 year when I was there, the Big Ten tournament has not been kind for the most part to Nebraska. That 1 year they beat upset Wisconsin too. It ended up being fairly meaningless. But other than that, it's
even
been
the NCAA tournament year. They blew the game against Ohio State.
That Ohio State game, the Michigan game when they got the bye. Man, there's just, and then that 2016 team lost. You thought maybe Petaway and Pitchford and that group could make one final run before they left, and they lost in the first round of Penn State. And so there have been more bad memories than good memories from this tournament. So of course, as a Nebraska basketball fan, it's my birthright to be anticipating the groin kick.
And then one more comment before we go to break. Travis in Dallas says the Purdue loss, this is going back to like the what ifs of the season, the Purdue loss and Walker being out of those early season games. I'm trying to remember what their record was in those.
They only lost. So I think, though, they only lost, and I don't have it in front of me. They lost the one in Orlando, the Oklahoma game that he wasn't in. And I don't know if they lost.
St. John's.
He was not in for St. John's either?
I don't believe
I thought that was later.
No, that was earlier. Yeah, he
did
not play against St. John's. Yeah.
Okay,
he missed the first 5 games. Is that what it was?
He came back. He came back from Memphis.
Okay,
on Black
so
Friday.
He missed the first 5. So they went 3-2 in that stretch.
Okay, yeah, those 2 wins. If he, I don't know if he could have, but Oklahoma and St. John's don't look like world beaters right now. If they could have those 2 wins, that'd be a pretty big deal right now.
Yeah, certainly would be. All right, when we return. Wanted to talk a little bit more about Matt Rule winning the offseason. We have some Unsportsmanlike content coming up. And bet of the day, the show is almost wrapped up. We will continue when we return on this Tuesday here on 1620 The Zone.
Previously on The Crossover.
I feel like if I'm in a sword fight, I want emotion. I want the crowd to get me riled up.
It's not really a sword fight. You're just poking a guy with it.
Still, you got a sword in your hand and you're trying to poke him. What would you call it?
Connor calling fencing. Oh, that was a good poke.
Nice poke. Yeah.
Did you see him poke? That was a good one.
Crowd's chanting poke.
Mornings with Sharp and Hanley. The Connor Happer Show. Unsportsmanlike conduct. 6A to 6P. 1620. The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Mostly cloudy with temperatures in the low and mid 40s into this evening. Mainly cloudy tonight, a chance of some light rain, low temperatures in the mid 30s, and then cloudy for Wednesday with some off and on light rain showers, highs in the upper 30s. I am Chief Meteorologist Bill Ranby from KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct, brought to you by a great friend of the program, Union Bank and Trust.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. Heads up, it looks like we're getting reports of delays on westbound Dodge between 72nd and 90th. If you're south on 72nd, delays between Dodge and Pacific. Slow going on 144th for both directions between 370 and I-80. And then if you're east on I-80, slow going between 72nd and 60th. I'm Mike Neville. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Prairie Construction.
Are you or someone you know in the commercial construction business and your job's hit a dead end? Are you ready for a new job with a quality construction company? Well, maybe it's time to make that change, and Prairie Construction might be just right for you. Learn about us at prairie-construction.com.
Omaha Maverick baseball and softball seasons are underway. Don't miss a pitch or a run scored. Single game tickets are available now. Come out and support your Mavs. Get your tickets by calling 402-554-MAVS or by going to omavs.com/tickets.
Home is where your health is, where your family gathers together, takes care of each other. And right there with you is Nebraska Medicine. We're proud to take care of Nebraska, to deliver everything your family needs. From immediate care to neurosurgery, it's expertise you can be confident in. With locations throughout the region and telehealth appointments from the comfort of home. Find a provider close to you at nebraskamed.com.
Home is with you wherever that may be.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Hey, y'all, this is your girl, Cheryl Underwood, and I want to tell you something. My digestive system used to make me feel sluggish, but those days are over. Now I feel great. That's because I increased my fiber intake with the Metamucil 2-week challenge, and I'm still hooked. I just took Metamucil every day for 14 days, and it's really that easy. Metamucil traps and removes the waste that weighs you down, so you feel lighter and more energetic. Now I never want to go back to that heavy feeling. Are you ready for the Metamucil 2-week challenge? For a coupon and daily support, sign up at Metamucil.com today.
Research shows listeners prefer a personalized experience. So to help you remember, Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance. We personalize this ad for Amber, who really misses boy bands from the 90s.
Hey girl, I'm the cute one, here to tell you how Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
I'm the heartthrob. The only thing I love more than you is saving. And I'm the other boy in the band everyone forgot about.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
It's unsportsmanlike conduct.
I hated that whole segment as much as you did.
Of 1620. The Zone.
Hey, that's fun when one of the rejoins has Jack Mitchell's voice and Jack Mitchell filling in today. I hated that whole segment almost as much as you do.
We got a couple rejoins with Jack in it.
He's a very popular person. Jack, this is going to make you smile. Though, I guess, are you watching the Nebraska game? Did you turn it on?
Well, I would like to say I listened to you guys and I didn't turn it on, but I realized my Roku remote does not have batteries in it. And
very on brand. Didn't that happen during football season for you?
Yeah, these things, I don't know. I always
They're
have
not great.
Probably. And then I tried my phone app, and then I realized, oh, this TV is on a different wireless than my phone is.
That sucks. Well,
so hard to
Nebraska's
watch TV.
They're up 10-0 in the fourth inning.
Oh, okay. Well, great.
Yeah.
Well, great.
There you go. Wow, I figured you'd be a little bit happier than that, but I guess not.
I did see they were winning, so but I didn't know it was that bad. But I'm glad. Listen, I'm glad to hear it. Great. Maybe their RPI will go up because when they went 2-1 this weekend, it went from like 3 to 80.
Yeah, what happened? Why do all these advanced metrics hate Nebraska? They
Well,
win and they drop. They win and they don't gain very many
I think
spots.
the RPI is really screwy until it's got a bigger sample.
Well, yeah, I mean, it didn't make a whole lot of sense that they were 3-3-1 and suddenly a top whatever team. Yeah, that was really weird. We referenced Tom Chattel one time earlier today. It's time to reference him for the second time. In his Tuesday column today, the first sentence read like this: Matt Rule already won the offseason, but now he is just running up the score. I think you and I have talked a little bit about the idea of Husker fans letting their guard down with Matt Rule. I've gotten a couple of questions, and I've heard this come up on podcasts or radio shows like, do Husker fans like Matt Rule? Have they warmed to Matt Rule? And there's a part of me that still can't figure out exactly how Husker fans are viewing him for the obvious reasons of, like, he is following this coach that we had built up for so many years that, turned into, be a pretty bad coach. But I don't know. I guess when I first read that, my thought was, God, poor Matt Rule, that he's going to get another offseason championship pointed at him from one of the biggest columnists in the state, because there's a lot of people that get genuinely annoyed when someone's like, yeah, they won the offseason again. They hate that stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, Tom's right.
Have they won the offseason, do you think?
According to the fan base hates winning the offseason, but they also like it. It's a double-edged sword.
Because it's fun to be happy.
They hate the concept of it, but they enjoy the day-to-day of it.
Yeah.
And the day-to-day of it, I think, whether it be the recruiting wins that happened, the continued being in on Dylan Raiola, the roster additions from the transfer portal, the things he said, the way that he's kind of done things differently. I think you put that all into one amalgamation, and I think people genuinely they were happy about the hire when it came to the day-to-day of the offseason, but they hate the concept of winning the offseason.
I think what you're describing almost is they love just the spoils of talking about a team and not having anything negative, but they just don't like the term, right? Like, they don't want to hear win the offseason. They just want to have an offseason that feels fun and exciting. And in terms of the negative aspects, quiet. I definitely think that they're, like you and I were talking earlier today about the Ed Foley stuff that he was putting out on Twitter, where, again, that, they're doing all these offseason things where you can win points and they're competing against each other. And like he tweeted, 1 point for anyone who goes on to NCAA softball and votes for the Nebraska photo, because there was a photo of the week from at NCAA softball. And so all of these players then are filling up his mentions with a vote and a screenshot. Chief Borders, Jeff Sims, just scrolling, seeing, just a bunch of different players. And they're all, it's just Kobe Brett. It's just pictures. It's screenshots of a little check mark next to the Nebraska name. And I think that Husker fans are digging that stuff. I don't know. I guess what did you make of
number
what
one
you mentioned yesterday?
One of the most important skills for anyone associated with this program is stuffing online ballot boxes. It's something that we all are very passionate about. And so I'm glad Ed Foley already has his finger on the pulse of the state. Yeah, I don't know. It seems, it sounds kind of like, I don't know if it comes off as the players too hokey or fun, but I like that they are being so deliberate. I think I like that they're being so deliberate about creating culture, creating camaraderie, creating connection to the university instead of just sitting back at this point. And so I think that now, again, that could easily turn, Josh, if they don't win, into a punchline.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, like Alex and Lincoln Texan, doesn't some of the extra stuff just seem cheesy? I think that's a good way to describe it, because cheesy does not inherently have to be a negative. It just depends on, I think, your worldview or your point of view. I think definitely your age is going to play into it. And I think you just hit on the most important thing, the success. Hip, hip, hooray for Mike Riley. I mean, I think that kind of got mocked right away from a lot of people. But if they would have won more, that would have been really endearing. And it would have been one of the weird, goofy things of Mike Riley. But it ended up turning into a part of, dude, I don't know how many times I talked to family members of mine that complained about him being too nice. Like, they didn't like Mike Riley because he was a nice person. And I don't know, that's kind of wild to me, but that was the case. And so if this stuff works, and after all of our bitching for years about culture, if Nebraska seemingly has a good culture, people are going to look back on this stuff. But if they lose and guys are giving quotes or whatever, and they're not close together, we're going to look back on this and probably mock it a little bit. It's all going to depend on the field.
It's the same thing as the reaction to PJ Fleck. He looks like a complete goofball if they're not winning, and he looks like a motivational genius if they are.
Motivator, yeah, if they win, 100%.
And so these things can swing any way. They can become a complete punchline. And they will if things go badly. We're going to look back at this and we're going to say, hey, remember all that stuff we got really excited about in the offseason? Because we've done that with every coach now.
Yep.
Right? We got excited about what Scott Frost said in the opening press conference. Now it's a punchline. Right?
Yep.
We got excited about hip, hip, hooray. Now it's a punchline. We got excited about the pound the rock. Now it's a punchline. Right?
Yeah.
Go through. Pick your favorite one of those. Something that we all got excited about at the time, but it really lost its luster after it wasn't successful.
How about this, Jack? If Tom Osborne never wins a national championship, the stoicness that he had, the lack of energy, I guess, if you will, in postseason celebrations or whatever, like we look back on that, and I think a lot of people find it charming that he doesn't really celebrate much after they beat Miami in the Orange Bowl. But if they don't do that, people probably look back on it in a different way. The guy didn't have energy. The guy didn't motivate properly. He didn't get it. And so all of the things that at the end of his career, because of 3 titles in 4 years, are viewed as a positive, they would have been viewed as a negative. He wasn't Bob Devaney.
That's the thing. None of this stuff that we're talking about, we don't know if it's going to be punchline or genius.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't, but it's going to be one of them, based on what happens.
Ping Appreciation Club tweets in JTech Constructions on Twitter feed. I can't speak for all fans, but I'm just done with any offseason win stuff and put zero stock into the positive stuff that is touted. We've been burned too many times by the offseason rhetoric.
And that's also got stuff to do. I mean, I think his sentiment is common. I think that also plays in even more too about reports about how players are looking, reporting on spring football, reporting on fall camp, and those sorts of things.
Yeah, this is, I think, different than the other stuff. Look, they're going to talk at some point soon about camaraderie. We're going to hear that from the players when spring ball starts. I have no doubt about that. But a lot of what's being said right now, it's not the usual we've never been closer, or we've never looked better, we've never looked faster, we've never looked more talented. This stuff right now is just more about kind of the building blocks. And I think it really it's more of a new car smell than anything that is maybe shaping a more positive viewpoint. But look, you also said a big part of this too. That's Dylan Raiola still being on the board and at various times over the last month or so trending towards Nebraska. Like that, I think has played a big part in how we're all viewing that rule.
That'll be the first chink in the armor if that doesn't come through after everybody got very excited about it.
Yes, that'll be the first domino that would fall in a negative capacity.
Yeah, I agree. None of us know if any of these things because you can go back with every coach and you can look at something that sounded, oh my gosh, that looks or sounds so encouraging, or that sounds like such a great idea. They're saying things are different this time around. Every single one, Josh. I remember having those thoughts about every single new coach. This is different. This is a fresh, different perspective. And now every single time, it seems hilarious. That is possible here. Okay?
Jeff,
it is.
We played a game last year, and we're going to bring it back this spring, called the Spring Game, where we read quotes, and listeners had to guess what year they came from, and they did a horrible job because it sounds the same every year. We've never been closer. We never worked harder. The best part was like this great group of new coaches, and people are like, oh, that has to be from Frost's first year. Nope, that's from this year with Mark Whipple. I mean, like, it happens every year. It happens every year.
Yep, absolutely. 100%.
All right, when we return, it's time for some unsportsmanlike content. Coming up in content today is Jack triggered about the Big Ten all-conference team. Am I triggered about Tony Pollard being franchise tagged and the boys' state basketball tournament? That and more when we return. Nick will turn on his microphone and ask us some questions in unsportsmanlike content. We'll do that when we return. Bet of the day, as well as we wrap up the show here on 1620 The Zone.
Big names, big games. We've got them all. 1620 The Zone.
What was it some famous football coach once said? Attitude isn't just one thing, it's the only thing. Well, here's an opportunity where your positive attitude is going to take your career to amazing places. Meet Scott Wood, General Manager at McCarthy's 1 Hour Heating and Air and Benjamin Franklin Plumbing.
The type of people that I'm looking for is people that are really motivated to take care of customers. Always do the right thing. If they always take care of the customer and do the right thing, I will always do what I can to take care of them. We have a really rock solid team. We can't do half of what we do without any single person. Our job is to provide a service. We provide a service of heating and cooling to customers at the time that they need it. You know, that's really the mindset that I look for.
Along with being a fantastic place to work, the benefits are top shelf, and they'll even train the right individual. Right now, McCarthy's 1 Hour and Benjamin Franklin Plumbing is looking for HVAC techs and plumbers. So work with a company that wants to work with you. Click the career tab at McCarthy's1hour.com. That's McCarthy's1hour.com. McCarthy's 1 Hour Heating and Air and Benjamin Franklin Plumbing. Equal opportunity employer.
Are you the kind of person who feels sorry for anyone who works in an office? If you prefer to be outdoors in the sun, or the rain, or the hot, or the cold, then Quality Irrigation would like just 30 seconds of your time. If you have experience with irrigation systems and would love to work with a team that'll make your career more rewarding, Quality Irrigation is the kind of company that'll reward your hard work, smart ideas, and initiative. Visit quality-irrigation.com and click the Careers tab to apply today. Equal opportunity employer.
At Murphy Tractor, we're committed to being your first choice when it comes to your compact and construction equipment needs. Each of our 29 locations has a diverse lineup of new, used, and rental equipment, along with a wide variety of parts inventory and experienced service technicians. Our field service capabilities will keep your machines moving and keep you on time. Let Murphy Tractor's John Deere equipment be your first choice. Give us a call at 855-246-9124 or visit us online at murphytractor.com.
Listen to the Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jay shoot-around and overtime shows. The Creighton men's basketball pregame and postgame shows on 1620 The Zone. The Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jay shoot-around and overtime shows are also presented by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More, by Barry Law, by Union Bank and Trust, and by DJ's Dugout. Before and after each Creighton game, exclusively on your home for the Creighton Blue Jays. 1620 The Zone, 1620 The Zone mobile app, and 1620thezone.com.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Babbel. Évidemment.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Let's face it, credit cards are pretty much a necessity.
New tires for the car? Here's my card.
I order takeout, here's my card. And most of us just accept the high interest rates credit cards charge as a necessary evil.
What are you going to do?
Get a low fixed rate credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream from $5,000 to $100,000 and pay off those credit card balances. Apply online and you could get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR. But with Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 7.99% APR with autopay and excellent credit.
Now I can pay off my high interest credit cards and save money with a much lower rate.
Apply today at lightstream.com/radio and get an additional interest rate discount. That's lightstream.com/radio. Lightstream.com/radio.
subject to credit approval. Rates range from 7.99% APR to 23.99% APR and include a 0.5% autopay discount. Lowest rate requires excellent credit. Terms and conditions apply and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/radio for more information.
Your neighborhood is more than blocks of buildings. It's the people who live there that make it special. At Union Bank and Trust, we're not just creating home loans, we're making neighbors. We're not just small business lenders, we're small business shoppers. We don't just live in your community, we help you build it. Because our people are your people. Visit ubt.com/neighbor to learn more. Union Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
1620 The Zone's Unsportsmanlike Conduct is brought to you by Union Bank and Trust. Now back to the program.
Look, I made you some
Unsportsmanlike
content.
Unsportsmanlike content.
Unsportsmanlike content. Content that's unsportsmanlike.
Will Walsh just hit a 2-run home run and then a 3-run homer by Charlie Fisher. Nebraska now up 12-0 on Northern Colorado heading into the top of the 5th. So I believe that they'll be getting a
Run
victory.
it up.
Unless they completely
Run it
blow
up for the
They did not
RPI.
put the game on in the studio, and that's why they are winning. So congratulations, Nebraska baseball. Let's get to Nick and some content. Nick.
Hello. The all-conference teams came out today for the Big Ten. Are either of you triggered?
I am not triggered at all, Jack. Are you?
No, I don't think I'm not triggered because of a Nebraska player being snubbed. I didn't think honestly, if I made one change on it, because ED, Trace, Jackson Davis, complete no-brainers, right?
Yep.
The absolute no-brainers. I think Jalen Pickett's a no-brainer. You could Terrence Shannon, I might have had a bit of a question with going that high, but seeing him in person, he might have been the most impressive person I saw in person this year. Now, keep in mind, I only went to the losses for Nebraska basketball.
People forget.
But he might have been, I was really impressed. The only thing, I mean, if anybody got snubbed, I think it was Hunter Dickinson from Michigan. That guy, he's a big, that's a game changer. He's a pretty good shooter too, scores a lot, high field goal percentage, defensive factor. I could see an argument maybe for him being in instead of, maybe Murray or Shannon. But that's about it.
The Big Ten tournament starts tomorrow. Woo, Jack. When will their run come to an end?
As I said to Josh, it's my birthright to feel that fatalism, starting to creep in. But if you told me I had to get this right, I probably would say night 2 against Maryland.
So they go 1-1 in the Big Ten tournament.
But I honestly think losing tomorrow night is possible, and I also think getting to Friday is also possible. So, I think those are both legitimately possible.
Oh yeah, I think I agree with you. I think they'll probably lose on Thursday. It wouldn't shock me if they made it to Saturday.
Which everyone has let me
know.
know they're
Yeah.
not making the tournament if they
I mean,
did.
the tournament.
Wow. Okay, guys.
It wouldn't
Sorry.
shock me if they lost tomorrow, but I don't think they will. I think they'll lose on Thursday.
Okay. All right.
The Cowboys have franchise tag Tony Pollard. Josh, is this the right move?
I think so. In a vacuum, I really like it. I guess you kind of find out what type of recovery he'll have. He'll come back from the injury. Supposedly he's going to participate in training camp when that gets going at the end of July, early August. So that's good. It's about $10 million. Not bad. The problem, I guess, that I have, Jack, is that for now, at least, it seems like they're still going to have Zeke Elliott on the roster. And I don't want them to have Zeke Elliott on the roster anymore. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
His role has increased a bit year after year after year, depending on Zeke's injury situation. But it now appears, at least to this outside observer, that Pollard is the more consistent, better option than Ezekiel Elliott by quite a bit, where he used to be 2 or 3 years ago. He was the complete change of pace guy.
Yeah.
And so my question is, I mean, it makes sense. What is Zeke's role? Where does that put Zeke in this whole thing? Are you hanging on to him? I don't know what his contract looks like, but it's a weird backfield now.
Yeah, he's owed
because there's been such a role reversal.
Yes, he is owed. Zeke is owed a lot of money now. If they keep him, if this is not bluster and they're going to keep him, he will not get. I think he's owed like $16 million. He will not be getting paid $16 million. They will rework his deal, and I think that he will get paid $1 million or so. I said Jerry Jones, man, he really cares about loyalty. And he wants to be loyal to a guy like Zeke Elliott. So I'm worried that he's still going to be on the roster. I would rather him not be on the roster, and they have Tony Pollard see what he is coming back from the injury, and then draft a running back in like the second or third round.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you for feeling that way. Yeah.
Back to Jack. The boys' state tournament is here. Give us your takes.
I mean, can anyone in Class A? Can anyone touch Bellevue West? They've been unblemished. They're getting national attention for the way that they're playing. They've got the best player in the state. They've been tested. They've been tested a little bit more. Westside played them close here at the end of the regular season. Had a couple other games that have been a little bit tighter, but that's question. And I legitimately don't know what team that is in this bracket that is the best chance of doing that, because it's kind of like the Big Ten. It feels completely 2 through 7 maybe in that field. It feels like they all could very easily beat one another from here on out. So I don't know who matches up best against Bellevue West. I don't know if any of them do really, but it will be interesting because you had, for the first time on those district finals, you had a couple of Lincoln teams that went up to Omaha and got wins, and you've got 3 Lincoln versus Omaha matchups in the first round, which is just something we haven't. It's been so Omaha Metro dominated in that tournament for so many years, whether it was the Millard North Bellevue West runs, whether it was the Omaha Central run. It'll be fascinating to see if one of these Lincoln teams can how many of them can get in the second round. Of course, North Star plays Bellevue West in the first round, and then can one of them make it to the final? Can they make it interesting with this whole thing? I think both Southeast and East both have as good a shot to do that as any Lincoln teams have in a long time.
Jack, I can't remember if it was you or somebody else, but I heard someone make the point that, like, if Bellevue West wasn't in this tournament, it would be like incredible to see who would come out of it. But
that was me.
Okay, I was gonna say, was that you yesterday?
No, this was like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, I was gonna say, I remember somebody saying that recently. Yeah,
I said that. I was like, I wish there was a second state tournament without Bellevue West, just because I have no idea who would come out of that whole thing. It'd be interesting. And of course, the minute I tweeted that, somebody said Bellevue West is behind Westside in the fourth quarter right now. But they did end up winning that whole game. But yeah, if that were the case, all bets would be off with that thing. You could see Westside absolutely going on a run. They've had ups and downs this year. You could see, I think you could see Lincoln East going on a run with that whole thing. Millard North too. So that's the thing. It feels like a coronation for Bellevue West, but we'll see on that. And then of course Class B will great. You got some great area teams in the Omaha. I mean, Scott's good, like they're always good in this whole thing. You got Plattview's got one of the best players in the state too. I'm very excited about state tournament. I'm going to spend a lot of time at PBA and Devaney for the next few days. And here's a funny thing, Josh. I've done some games on TV for News Channel Nebraska. I will be doing one or both of the Friday games for News Channel Nebraska if there are any Lincoln teams in there.
Awesome.
So I'm their Lincoln specialist. I know the rosters of the Lincoln guys very well because my son has played for East and had teammates with a lot of these guys who are playing against these guys. So I'll be doing the NCN games on Friday night, which I believe is the best night of the state tournament, is the Friday afternoon and night. So that's going to be a great night. So we'll see.
Nice.
Lincoln boy.
Yep.
The NFL's Black Friday game on Amazon will be available for free this November. Thank you, Jeff Bezos, for giving us this content. What does it mean?
It means that they are really, really hoping that people use their service and not just watch a football game, but buy some toilet paper or televisions, probably because it'll be Black Friday. I don't really buy toilet paper on Black Friday. It's just they're trying to get as many people in that door as possible.
It's smart
on Friday. It really is.
Josh, you're right about that. But they're also trying to just get people to see what it feels like to watch a football game on Amazon. Now, you and I did that all year last year.
Yep.
It wasn't that crazy. It wasn't that foreign to us. But let's be honest, it probably is to a lot of people. Like,
yes,
you don't even know. I mean, I'm not trying to be too condescending here, but people don't even know, like, okay, where do I go to do that?
Yeah.
How do I do that? And they weren't trying because they weren't subscribed to Prime. Now they'll try because they've got a chance to see it for free, and they'll see, hopefully, in Amazon's eyes, how easy it is to do that and say, oh man, I get this and I get free shipping and I get all these things if I subscribe. And they'll make a huge push. They'll run spots to subscribe for Prime that entire time. Now, my bigger question is,
who's playing?
Who's playing?
What time's Nebraska playing?
In Nebraska, Iowa, and how is that going to impact that?
Well, yeah, and remember, the Big Ten contract now has 2 Black Friday windows. They have a CBS window mid-afternoon, and then they have a night window on NBC. So there's a real world, Jack, where Nebraska's hosting Iowa on Black Friday at night.
I love it. I love it
too.
So much. I love it. Oh, remember all the Big Ten will never play night games in November. Crap. I mean, forget that. Give me Nebraska, Iowa at night on Black Friday. I love it.
Josh mentioned it earlier, but Nebraska baseball is currently in the midst of a game versus Northern Colorado right now. The first of 10 straight home games for the Skurs. And how on brand is it that it's cloudy, windy, and nowhere near 50 degrees?
Jack, how about this? This is the first time that they have played Northern Colorado since 2020. It seems like an annual affair of like, oh, they're playing them again, and the weather sucks. Every year, I feel like they do this stuff, and that's the first time in 3 years.
You're right. It is Northern Colorado a lot because I'm always like, oh, man, teams are going to come here and hate playing cold weather. I'm like, oh, it's Northern Colorado. If anybody should be ready for that, that's definitely them. Yes, incredibly on brand. How many years for Nebraska and probably Creighton baseball too has it been like really nice the last week of February, 60s, maybe gotten up to 70s. First few days of March looked great. And then all of a sudden, first baseball game is scheduled at home. I saw Omaha had one last weekend, even, I think.
Yeah.
And it's just like
canceled today.
It's way worse. It's way worse than it was a week ago. And of course, Nebraska has a huge homestand planned, and the weather is looking better. But like, I don't know. I think they thought about making today a doubleheader. I'm a little surprised they didn't with a forecast for tomorrow. But
yeah,
we'll see. Hopefully, they'll be able to get to most of them in. I'm sure Will Bolt with that RPI we were talking about. You want to get those wins.
Well, speaking of weather, Jack, you've been a bit triggered by the long-term forecast lately. Some would say that they're even living rent-free in your head.
No one would say that.
How you doing?
No one would.
Jack, I just got the packet sent to me from the National Weather Service. Doesn't seem like it's going to be that bad.
It feels like they are. I had an expert guest on my show this morning. Meteorologist and climatologist said every little model is making next week look a little better. It was looking like, Josh, it was looking like a 2-week stretch basically in the 30s and not looking great. Now they're starting to say maybe about 4-ish days here with this crap. Tomorrow and Friday, Thursday are going to suck.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, Thursday are going to suck. Going to be a little bit better in the weekend. But I think maybe now by about Wednesday, and people are like, what are you talking about weather? Josh and I are the same person, and some of you probably are too. I can't take it after a while anymore.
Yep, I get annoyed by it.
I can't do this. I don't know if it's sort of a mental health thing. I don't know if it's just I'm a wuss. I don't know what it is, but I got to have sun. I got to have at least 50 degrees at this point in the year, or I get in a crappy mood.
Yep.
Sam Adams, not that Sam Adams, of Slate writes, Peak TV is over. Welcome to Trough TV. You both read the piece. What do you think?
I was surprised. I was a little. I'd really be interested in what you think of it, Josh, because I sent it to you. I was curious what you thought about this, and basically the argument that is everything is derivative now, and that the way that the streaming services are making money is not conducive to the kind of quality content that basically started with House of Cards going forward, and probably the 5 or 6 years after that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think the argument's sound, mainly because you're seeing these streaming services that are not only like canceling shows like as they're in development for their final years, but that they're like removing them from these services. Like,
yeah,
you know, I think you subscribe to, like, let's say HBO, because we've talked about that a lot today. And it's like, hey, they have the show Westworld, and it'll always be there.
Yeah,
and they
you expect
pulled
that
it off the service. Like, can't you just buy another hard drive with the all we're talking about is memory. And so we're in a really weird spot. The funny thing is, this is all going to circle back, and there's going to be consolidation. And we're now everyone's like, I miss bundles. You know, we wanted a la carte. Now we want bundles again. And it's like, oh, so we want the thing that we didn't want 10 years ago.
I do get mad when they pull things off that I expect to be there.
So
like
stupid.
Like things that are not even in getting new seasons anymore, that they've been like, I got into watching. I was really late on, and I'm going to say it this way, S's Creek, because I didn't want to. But I got into it late, and they pulled the thing off Netflix when I was in the last season.
Oh, geez. I've never even watched it, but I've heard good things.
Oh, I
didn't
really
know
like
it got
that.
pulled
They
off.
pulled.
Yeah, neither me.
I could definitely see myself doing a rewatch of Arrested Development at some point. They
And
pulled
that's
that
not
off.
sleep. Yep.
What
Yeah.
like, and I know it's their right to do that thing, but when I was thinking about the streaming model as a concept, all of these things were always going to be there, right?
Yeah.
We're always going to have this library the same way as if you had a DVD, and that's not actually the case with a lot of these things.
Yeah, pretty good read there on Slate, but very odd times that we have entered into. You know what's not odd, though? The bet of the day. Were we winners yesterday, or were we losers? Jack, get your bet of the day ready. By the way, speaking of gambling, Nebraska, 6-point favorites tomorrow versus Minnesota in the Big Ten tournament. That's a touchdown without an extra point.
Northern Colorado scored, by the way.
Oh, Reds! Well, it's over. Bet of the day, and we will say goodbye and get you ready for a Wednesday next on 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone.
Excuse me, I'm conducting research on consumers' attitudes about cash. Would you like to participate?
Sure.
Question 1. Would you rather win this stack of cash or this can of wax beans?
The cash.
Question 2. Would you rather win this stack of cash or this oven mitt?
The cash.
There you have it. Research shows people love cash, which is good because Cash Blast from the Nebraska Lottery is back. Until April 18th, buy a 2x2 ticket, enter the voucher number, and you could win $5,000 or $500. If you're winning vouchers from a 7-day draw ticket or a multiple of 7 ticket, your prize is doubled. There will be 7 weekly drawings and 14 total winners in Cash Blast. So play today.
I don't know much about research, but maybe you should compare the cash to something more upscale, like a trip.
Good idea. Question 3. Would you rather win this stack of cash or a trip to the Antarctic weather station?
You don't know much about research either, do you?
2x2 top prize odds, 1 in 105,000.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $22 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
There are 31 days in March, and you can save $31 per month every month at GenesisHealthClubs.com. If you don't get started on your fitness goals today, then when? Tomorrow? Next week? Next month? Next year? Life's too short for that. Genesis Health Clubs is here all month, giving you 31 reasons to get started towards your summer fitness goals now, not later. Reason number 1. Abs like to sleep in. You have to start waking them up now if you want them to show themselves in the summer. Reason number 2. The safest, most sustainable weight loss is 1 to 2 pounds per week. The earlier you start, the farther you'll go. Reason number 3. If it is to be, it is up to me. Reason number 4. Results may take time, but you'll get blasted with endorphins and feel better today. Reason number 5. Because your health is worth it. 31 days in March. 31 reasons to get started today. And $31 to save every month when you get started at Genesis Health Clubs. Whatever your reason, go to GenesisHealthClubs.com today to get started.
Hey, it's Nick Hanley for Woodhouse Mazda. Take on every trip in style with the 2023 Mazda CX-30. It's a one-of-a-kind design that brings heightened performance and greater fuel efficiency. You can also tackle any road condition with the standard iActive all-wheel drive. With 7 trim levels to choose from, there is a new Mazda CX-30 for your lifestyle. Stop into Woodhouse Mazda in Bellevue and Woodhouse Place Mazda in Millard and test drive the 2023 Mazda CX-30. Woodhouse Mazda, a drive worth experiencing.
Your neighborhood is more than blocks of buildings. It's the people who live there that make it special. At Union Bank and Trust, we're not just creating home loans, we're making neighbors. We're not just small business lenders, we're small business shoppers. We don't just live in your community, we help you build it. Because our people are your people. Visit ubt.com/neighbor to learn more. Union Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
Hi, this is Garen Armstrong with Shamrock Roofing and Construction. That small roofing company my father started 45 years ago has now become one of the largest roofing companies in America by following one rule, the golden rule. No one can install a better roof at a better price, a better warranty than Shamrock Roofing and Construction. Let our local family serve your family. Shamrock Roofing and Construction. Call today or visit us online at shamrockroofer.com.
This is Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson.
A little slippery inside of tight spaces.
The 1620, The Zone.
And you know why I'm laughing, don't you? Now, it's time for the Unsportsmanlike Conduct Bet of the Day.
Just a little bit under where some folks would like to see this one wind up.
Brought to you by Peerless Energy Systems.
All right, in the Peerless Energy Systems Bet of the Day yesterday, John had Chattanooga. He lost. I had the Kings -6. I won. Nick had the Kings and the Cavaliers on the money line in the NBA. The Cavs beat the Celtics. Let's go, Nick. Woo! And so a couple of us were winners, chicken dinner. Jack, I'm going to go with the Bucks in the NBA tonight. They're on the road in Orlando. Give me Milwaukee -2. The juice is -114.
I am going to go to the ACC tournament. They've already played 2 games, but they've got one more tonight. I like Notre Dame on the money line to beat Virginia Tech. Mike Bray does not want his career to end yet. Coaching loose. He was passing out shots at a bar the other night after his final game at Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame wins tonight and keeps their season going.
Notre Dame +220. Nick?
I'm doing something silly.
All right.
Same game parlay.
New
York Knicks.
Okay.
Bing bong. And Julius Randle. Knicks on the money line. Randle to score the first basket.
Oh my God.
600.
First basket +600. All right, that's the Bet of the Day brought to you by Peerless Energy Systems.
Peerless.
Coming up on the show tomorrow, Jack will be gone. John will be back. Yeah, I know. He'll be at the arena. We'll have Sipple on. We'll have Scott Docterman on in place of Mike Schaefer, who is in Las Vegas. And,
Iowa.
We'll have dumb debates as well. You got any dumb debates questions for us tomorrow there, Jack?
No, not off the top of my head, but I will send them your way with the hashtag if I come up with it.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you. Some people just send us questions, and I'm like, well, this isn't going to be in dumb debates today. We appreciate you for filling in. Thank you for doing that.
Thanks for having me.
Sorry that we didn't talk about Iowa. We didn't talk about Brett Favre.
God, I had such good legal takes on Iowa. I'm so sad.
We didn't do who you ruin it for. We didn't do any of that.
God, all my prep. I didn't do anything that I actually prepped.
I know. All right. Well, someday we'll get to those.
We
topics.
talked about clothes, though.
We
That was
talked
cool.
about Stephen Berries.
Didn't prep either of those things.
For Jack,
Believe
for Nick,
it or
I'm
not.
Josh. Have a great night. Goodbye.